C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation.
Good morning. It's a minute after 6. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. Today is Friday. It's the 4th day of December. We are in the house. Ndu Oko and Eric Latif. C.T. Muga is away for the weekend.
Away for the weekend.
Yes. He will be back on Monday. How are you doing?
I am fine, thank you.
I missed you yesterday. How are you?
I'm
Where
all
were you
right.
yesterday?
No, where were you yesterday? I was here.
You were not where I was.
I was not where you were.
Yeah. So where were you?
That was a problem.
Aye,
You know,
surely.
Out and about and doing stuff. You're good though?
I'm very well.
Super.
Yes. I'm happy to be alive
I know.
and to be in the studio this morning, waking up early and in good health.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you too. Yes. So now, what happened yesterday?
So many things happened yesterday. They kicked Sonko out.
Hiya.
I know. Universities went on a rampage.
Hiya.
Then people said that they should not open schools on the 4th of January.
Hiya.
BBI, meanwhile, have collected 4 million signatures so far, or so it is reported.
Hiya.
Many things are a gone.
Hey.
Yup.
Kenya is moving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Kenya ya Songa. There was an ad by Kenya Power a couple of years ago.
Uh-huh.
It was Kenya ya Songa. Was it
Kenya.
Kenya ya Meta? One of those.
I cannot help you here. I can just look at you in bewilderment.
Kenya ya Songa. Kenya ya Meta. Actually, it was Kenya ya Meta.
What's meta?
Meta is to shine.
Oh, meta. That I've heard. Okay. Okay, Kenya is shining.
Kenya ya Meta.
That would make sense.
So we'll have a lot to discuss then today in view of what happened yesterday. Sonko is a conversation that we must have this morning. So MCAs have decided, allegedly, because there are those that are saying, no, we did not, that they want to impeach their governor. And now this move gives the speaker 2 days from yesterday, this is until Monday, to notify the Speaker of the Senate that, hapa kwangu, my brother, watu hawataki huyu jamaa.
So,
Hebu sasa deal na hii kesi. So we see then once it moves to the Senate, what happens. Let's have that discussion and hear exactly what's going to happen. And then the Msambweni by-election is going to take place in 11 days' time.
yes.
On the 15th of December. The TIFA research has done what it does. It's conducted a poll and asked people, so who are you most likely to vote for? And the results are out. Not surprising, but we'll have a conversation with Tom Wolf, the researcher at TIFA, to tell us what they are able to read from what people said. And a number of other things. This issue of conducting opinion polls and law on opinion polls, and then why do you do the opinion poll? Are you really likely to be able to get the actual sentiment on the ground when you conduct the opinion poll? Do people give you the truth?
The truth, or they just, giving you what you want to hear at that point. And then so you can go away.
Sisi twamchagua boga sisi.
Boga?
Eh,
Boga is not vegetables?
mboga is vegetable.
Okay.
Boga is a human being.
I got it.
Omari boga.
I know.
Sasa sisi twamtaka boga sisi. Twamjua boga sana. The others will say, Faisal ndio mtu wetu hapa. Others will say, no, Marere Mochai or Ali Hassan Mwaki. Londa, all those. So we'll have that conversation with Tom Wolf. And then with these BPI stories happening and what it's proposing, the issue of how to meet the gender balance, and then looking back at the constitution that we have presently and what it did in terms of, affirmative action with bringing in 47 seats in Parliament, in the National Assembly, for affirmative action, and the BBI proposing to actually go and take them to the Senate. So instead of this woman traversing the entire county and being elected as a woman MP, let her have the same role as the senator who has done the same thing.
Sure.
Gone around
Around
the
the
country
country.
campaigning. So we'll have a lot of discussions on this, on the seat of the woman rep and what we have seen so far. 10 years, or not 10 years, 7 years
7
of
years.
woman rep. What's the effect of that? Anyway, COVID-19 is still doing its rounds.
It's doing its rounds in a major way. 14,535,196 cases in the United States. Yesterday, huge numbers. I mean, if we're just going to look at that, the highest number so far ever recorded. And, it was almost like Dr. Fauci was a soothsayer, because he said in the next few days, with tests happening, probably going to see a rise. Now, I don't know if you can say that this was as a direct result of the traveling that they did last week, but the U.S. recorded 218,576 cases yesterday, with 2,918 new deaths. This is in 24 hours. And they also are stating that the cases include tests done in the eastern part in Massachusetts.
2,000 people died yesterday.
2,918 people were reported in the recorded deaths for yesterday. Yeah. It's 82 people short of 3,000. Yes. It's crazy what we are seeing here. And, I mean, yeah, just looking at the numbers, 300,000 cases in, that includes death and also includes positive. Really dealing with it really greatly here. It's giving them a pounding, to say the least. It takes global numbers to 65,528,133, deaths to 1.5 million around the world. Okay, so we're looking at other high cases of India still, but now the United States, I mean, nobody seems to be able to be even close to this. Brazil still pretty high up there. France counting the numbers on a daily basis, as is Russia. We also know that some cases in some countries, they are, vaccinating already. This is happening in China. This is happening in Russia. Vaccines too, so for them to be rolled out in countries like the US and the UK, and making it then available around the world as they promised to do. The question is then now, which countries will choose what in terms of vaccines? Who's going to make a selection of where their vaccines are going to come from? Are conditions favorable for the Pfizer vaccine in Africa, with the temperatures and where you need to keep it under 70, minus 70? How you'd need to store things in the Arctic, essentially, and do you have the facilities to do so? Who's going to present the cheapest option? Who is going to make it available readily for countries on the continent? So, I mean, everybody now is looking at what their plan could possibly be for COVID-19 and its vaccinations.
What's the earliest we're looking at? Even in getting them, let's start with even Pfizer and the US or Europe. What's the earliest we're looking at? Population getting vaccinated.
Well, they were looking at the third week of December in the US and then the UK as well, whereby then they said that overall they wanted to make 300 million doses available in the US by the end of January. But they were going to start this month. So, I mean, this is something that they're going with.
What's a mode of admission of... Yeah, is it admission? Yes.
Injection.
It's just injection.
Yeah.
Not like a drop.
I don't. From what I read, it's an injection.
Not like the polio thing.
Not like the polio thing. Not a drop on the tongue. Well, I have to look at that again. I have to look at that and see what the mode then would be for, if the mode is the same across board or. Okay, we'll have to check on that one.
So from the third week of December, they start doing that in America, with the former presidents doing it. Yes,
it's Bill Clinton, Bush, and Obama, right? Who are going to have a public viewing of them getting the vaccine. So that'll be interesting. Public plus television for media, for everybody.
Okay. Plus the current president, I'd assume. The current president is like...
He's not in the trio for some reason. Maybe he's going to do it on his own.
He's not a former.
Well, I mean, sure, he's not a former, but it would have been interesting. They said, okay, presidents
We are
past and
still in office.
present, we're gonna do this for PR.
So
But
not present and not future. We are not talking about the
we're not
fut-
talking about
possible
Trump and
future.
Biden.
Yeah. Okay.
No.
Sawa.
Former presidents leading the way.
Sawa.
Okay, let's look at the cases in Kenya. Yesterday, having recorded 1,253 new cases and 16 new deaths. This now takes Kenya's numbers to 86,383 and 1,500 deaths, unfortunately. And then we still see these calls. Yesterday, the National Council of Churches now has said that they need to suspend the opening of schools because of this, specifically because of this, that
Because of COVID.
the cases are rising and it would not be safe to throw more children into the mix. And even those that have been in school since the 12th of October were at a great risk of contracting COVID. They'd already seen some of this happening and they thought, this is not a good thing to do. So we'll look at that story later. But that's what they're saying. Even this January 4th, people should suspend it because it's not a good idea. We don't like
So
it.
2,900 and something cases of deaths of COVID-19 in America. And at the same time, America is raising the alert for COVID-19 levels in the country and says we are at a very high level. Very high levels of COVID-19 by America CDC saying Kenya is among East African countries classified as harboring very high levels of COVID-19.
Yeah, they gave
The
that.
country was classified in level 4, with the CDC strongly warning American citizens against traveling into the country, saying traveling may increase their chances of getting and spreading COVID-19. Well, on the one hand, this is an obvious thing to do. I mean, you warn people, don't leave your house.
Sure.
Because you have a high chance of getting COVID-19. Don't go to many parts of the world. COVID is a pandemic.
However,
Diplomatically and how it looks politically, it's like they're saying, hey, that is the place.
that's ground zero for
That's
COVID.
ground zero for COVID-19.
But it's coming out of a country where they have 14 million cases. They had 218,000 cases yesterday alone. 2,900 deaths reported yesterday alone. Sounds like a classic case of the pot calling the kettle black.
Well, you can say they have a duty to do that to their citizens and tell them you have. I think this.
How many countries will give an advisory
they
from
should
their
do a
health
blank-
ministry, for example, or their health practitioners to send a travel advisory there now about going to the US?
The
because
whole
of
world
COVID.
should have a level 4. It doesn't matter where
Where you
whether
are.
you're going to Sudan, going to America, you're going to the UK, everywhere. Just don't go if you must not go. Okay, that's it.
Stay at home.
Just stay at home. But being placed at level 4 means that there are some countries that are not at level 4, like China. Okay, China, then okay. Makes sense.
Lithuania. Yeah.
Sawa. It's coming up to 6:15. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. In the room this morning is Nduoko and Eric Latif. CT Muga is away. We are live streaming on Spice FM KE, on YouTube, on Facebook, and Twitter. Say hello.
Spice FM. Spice up your life. "24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM. Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise.
You're listening to Spice FM. The weather with Spice FM.
Drizzling in some parts of Nairobi this Friday morning. It's currently at 16 degrees and we'll see highs of 24 today. Chances of cloudy conditions throughout most of this Friday. Partly cloudy conditions in Nakuru this morning at 14. We'll go to highs of 24. We're also looking at clear conditions in Nyeri at 13, going to highs of 23 and coming back down to a low of 13. It's mostly cloudy, mostly clear in Eldoret actually at 10. That'll be the low as well, with highs of 24. Partly cloudy conditions in Kisumu at 21, going to highs of 27 and lows of 20. Clear conditions in Kakamega at 15. The high will be 26 and lows of 14 today. It's raining lightly in Mombasa. Skies have just opened up. 25 degrees is the current conditions and highs of 30. Coming back down to lows of 25. It's raining in Malindi as well at 17, going to highs of 25 and lows of 16 today. Where rain showers in Kampala at 21, highs of 25 and lows of 18. And looking into Dar es Salaam, light rain at 26, going to highs of 30 and lows of 26. Mostly cloudy conditions in Johannesburg at 15, highs of 24 and lows of 13. And also light rain in Lagos at 27, highs of 32 and lows of 25. Clear conditions in Kinshasa for a change at 22, highs of 32. And Beijing is sunny at 1 degree. The low will be -4, going to a high of 4. 7 degrees and mostly cloudy in Paris, highs of 8 and lows of 3. We're in London. Rain showers start this Friday morning at 5, highs of 6 and lows of 4. And finally in New York, still Thursday night at 9, it'll come to a high of 11 come Friday morning and lows of 7.
Spice FM. Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
Very good morning to you, and wherever you are, we are glad that you tuned into the Situation Room this morning. So, who is online?
Slims Koinange is tuned in from Mombasa and says, Good morning. Good morning. Now that CT is away, I guess he's working on the Uhunye proverb, and that's from Solowere. He says he can't wait. So I guess it's in the kitchen and it's being sorted. Mukoya Iowa from Lindy Kibra says, Good morning, following live. Watching from Narok County is Elisha Kiplagat Yegon. And Waterman Jeffrey, Mature Intelligent Talk. Good morning, guys. Minneapolis is tuned. Loving the show from County 019. That's Mboko. 019 is?
019 is county number 19.
Okay, well done. Good morning and happy Friday. That's from Embu, and that's Lawrence.
These people doing those things for us, but you should be telling us where you are. Giving us homework here every morning.
Homework in the morning.
Surely.
No less at 6:19.
019. County 019. I'll tell you. You continue.
Okay. Wycliffe Ogora says good morning. And Edgar Odeke, Chamasiri Teso is tuned, as is Couture Teso from Samuel Wafula. Charity Mina is tuned in from Nakuru. And Charles Inyanje Karacha, tuned in from Kaimosi Cheptulu. Godi Opingo is also tuned in, as is Shurage Mwai, and already on the commuter train from Roiro.
Shurage Mwai have a safe commute. So County 019 is AKA County Ruare, is AKA County of Governor Kahiga, is AKA County of Deputy Governor Dr. Caroline Karugu.
Nyeri?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. County,
now we know. Never
county
forget
number
it.
19.
Okay.
Sawa. Whoever is in county number 26, tell us. We'll find out where that is. So, time for today's proverb. So, City had told me to tell you that today's proverb is, the same boiling water that softens the potato hardens the egg.
I see you're coming at us with depth this morning.
It's not me.
It's not
a message
you,
from City.
Oh, you sent the message from City. Well done. You're a good messenger.
The same boiling water that softens the potato hardens the egg. Wembe ni ule ule. When they say wembe ni ule ule, it's the same kind of thing.
Got it.
Webe ni ule ule.
Webe.
Yes.
All right.
Let's look at the headlines, shall we?
Hey. Okay, so we have to look at it. How the king of drama fell. That's what is on the front page of the Standard. Whalers, last kick. Despite pulling out all the stops to postpone a date with destiny, flamboyant city governor fell to the combined might of conspiratorial city MCAs and a conniving wider political establishment fed up with his antics. What went wrong for the son of Kivanguli? So we know that this impeachment took place yesterday. It seemed like it came out of the... I know that it was in the works, but it seemed like it just came out of the blue and hit us in the face because we're not expecting it like this, right? Jubilee and ODM parties had on the eve of the vote suspended a total 12 MCAs, all allied to the governor. So there's an interesting piece of information. Despite whisking away a sizable number of MCAs to the coast to deny the vote the requisite quorum, and obtaining refuge in court, Sonko was handed a dose of his own medicine when the vote sailed through. For the once popular governor who punched walls for the poor oppressed, cried a river for the widowed, and persecuted and offered parallel government services to the neglected poor of the city, it was a dramatic to the end. Immediately after the vote, a protesting band of his MCAs sprung up from their breezy hideaway, holding on to nothing but numbered cards, complaining that their credentials had been used to log into the electronic voting system and vote against their own man, Mike Mbuvi Sonko. In the fury of the events in Kwale and Nairobi, it was hard to immediately figure out the truth. What was clear, however, was that Sonko had been fingered. They have used guerrilla tactics to log in our details. All 59 of us have been in Kwale and not Nairobi. When we resume, our first order is to impeach Mutura, Pangani MCA Peter Wahinya claimed.
So they're claiming that they were in Kwale, but their emails had logged into the county assembly proceedings
and voted. Yes.
And here, in fact, Sonko was tweeting and saying, my friend, numbers don't lie. See for yourself. He even recorded video clips. He had photos of the MCAs, each holding a number 1 to number 57. As we continue with efforts to defeat the impeachment motion, it's unfortunate that those behind the scheme to bring me down have resorted to intimidation, dirty tricks to achieve their selfish interests. And those photos were actually their number. Everyone holding Korogocho Ward, number 1, Dandora Ward, number 4, Huruma Ward, number 4. They were in Kwale.
They're in Kwale.
Conducting Nairobi business.
In Kwale. That you must also ask. What was going on in Kwale, conducting Nairobi business.
They were there in Kwale. It was a retreat, to look at how best then to, govern the city, how the county assembly can more effectively serve the people of Nairobi.
In Kwale.
Just as a retreat in Kwale where they are away from the noise and the pollution of the city. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Enjoying the breeze from the ocean. This is important for you to be able to think clearly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
that's what was happening in Kwale yesterday. And the government was there. If you go to Sonko's Twitter handle, at Mike Sonko, he pinned the top tweet on the 21st of August, 2017, the day he took oath of office. And he said on that day, Nairobi will never be the same again from today. I shall work round the clock to guarantee efficient and timely services for all us residents. This was his solemn promise.
Failed?
This I swear to you. He's still working round the clock.
He's still working around the clock. Whether the end is the same as it was in 2017, that's a whole nother matter.
Yeah, and he also didn't tell you what is efficiency.
I didn't describe
what
that.
is timely delivery
that.
of service, right? See, I'm still delivering. I didn't say I'm going to deliver in a week. You wait, man.
It's going to happen.
You guys just got impatient.
So what happens next? The Assembly Speaker has 2 days to inform the Senate Speaker, as you said. A Senate convenes and a committee of 11 is formed to investigate charges against the governor and reports back in 10 days. And if the committee finds proof, Senate votes after assurance that the governor received a fair hearing. And then in 60 days, the deputy governor takes over. There might be a problem here. there might be an issue here.
If there's no deputy governor, the speaker.
Yes, so the speaker will take over. So
And we are
it
going to
means
impeach the
that
speaker.
Benson
We,
Mutura-
57 of us, are going to impeach the speaker next week.
So Mutura is supposed to take over. Now, hold on. Mutura would essentially take over because there's no deputy governor if all of this goes through.
Yep.
But there is a plan in motion to impeach Mutura in the next 7 days. So,
Game ndio imeanza, my friend. Kipenga kimepulizwa, mpira umeanza.
wow.
Tazama mtazamaji pale katikati, ako nani na mpira? Sonko na mpira. Okay, let's see how that goes.
It'll be very interesting to
we'll
see.
have a Sonko conversation in the 8 o'clock hour to see. I mean, what do you think? Should the Senate uphold
Was he played?
this impeachment? Was he actually played? All right. So the issue of the National Council of Churches of Kenya meeting yesterday in the Limuru Road Jumuiya Place and issuing a statement on a number of issues. One of them was the BBI and what they think about the BBI. They're still saying, look, there's still time for consensus. Religious leaders are maintaining that. There's still time for consensus. Let's seek consensus. Let's not just sit there and say, you know, all these things are good or all these things are bad. So they're saying there's some things that are contained in the BBI report that are good and there's some things that are bad. Let's just find a way of accommodating the views of people. However, on the issue of schools reopening on the 4th of January, they are unequivocal on this particular one. They say, do not reopen schools on the 4th of January. Because of why? Because there's COVID-19. COVID-19 spreading in the country. So the church leaders are saying, grade 4, no, they're saying just put it off. Okay? NCCK says the rise in COVID-19 numbers was worrying and the situation should be reviewed before all learners can be sent back to class. The infections yesterday stood at 86,000, 1,500 deaths so far. We proposed the decision that all learners resume in-school learning on the 5th of January be reviewed and proper measures be put in place to avoid a surge in new infections, according to the General Secretary of the National Council of Churches of Kenya, Reverend Canon Chris Kenyanjui. While the NCCK did not state what they want when they want the schools reopened or how long the postponement should be, they insist that further discussions must be made to ensure the safety of all learners. So they want stakeholders to sit down, review the situation, must make sure that all the measures have been put in place to take the schools, to children back to school. You've got to remember that religious leaders also control a very huge number of schools.
Yes. I mean, from your mainstream churches who have schools in different parts of the country.
Yes.
You know.
So they are very much involved in the education sector. So when they say stakeholders should sit, and that we know that the decision to reopen schools was made after consultations with stakeholders, then you ask yourself, so what are you talking
Where
about?
were you?
What are you talking about? Are you guys not part of the stakeholders? Were you not consulted? We are drawing important lessons from the partial reopening since October, and we are confident that we will remain in the right trajectory in finding a winning formula that will ensure institutions are safe for learners. This is what Professor Magoha had said when he was announcing the reopening of schools. So this, let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. One thing, though, that I'm happy about is that the NCCK is coming out more and more often to talk
Hearing the voice.
about issues. We are hearing the voice of the NCCK, and they're coming out with a united voice. It's a good thing.
It is. Still on the matter of schools and education and such. To kill or save KCPE, why the key exam might survive. The headache of placing grade 6 students in secondary schools could be a major determinant on the fate of the primary education exam. Now the final verdict could be out before Christmas as a team of experts finalizes its report today, right? The Kenya Certificate of Primary Education examination may not be scrapped after all, as it is emerging that government may face hiccups in placing students in secondary school. It's been established that even as the government abolished the grade 6 end of primary education examination, questions have risen as to what criteria will be used to allocate students space in secondary schools. It is also emerging that the category of schools to host junior secondary and senior secondary students still remains unclear, even as stakeholders generally agree that this level of education be domiciled in high school. The matter is complicated further by the fact that the last batch of the 844 system will join Form 1 at the time the competency-based curriculum pioneers will also be enrolling for junior secondary school. So there seems to be a mishmash here. So they're saying the best way to do this is to keep the KCPE. Originally, it was that it be scrapped, and then
So
they
that
just
there's no
move on.
assessment.
There's no assessment. But then how do you then place students in high school where you have a clear demarcation between upper primary and then high school?
And also the clear demarcation in what the high schools are doing in
Yes.
terms of the subjects.
Yes.
So for you to assess and know the strength of the students, those that will go into the science-based subjects, those will go into the art-based subjects, you need something. You need some form of assessment. The only thing that maybe we could be saying is like what we've been saying. Conduct the assessment for the simple purpose of gauging the understanding and the level of the
Sure.
learners.
Yep.
Not what we've been doing, making it a sieve. Because that's what KCP and KCSE had become. It becomes a place where it's a kichinjio. All of you guys, those that are found to be wanting, drop. Then the rest, the good ones, are the ones that proceed. That's maybe is what the conversation then should look at. 6:30. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. Let's take a look at traffic. Let's see what's happening on the roads. We'll look at more headlines this morning. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life. Spice FM, Malindi.
Sugar and spice and everything nice, just the way you like it.
The Spice Drive.
Did you have a great day? I hope you did. I intend to make it better from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. I'm going to be taking you home nice and chill. Everyone is welcome aboard. The hashtag is Spice Drive and, of course, Spice FMKE on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
The Spice Drive with Monique. The official soundtrack of getting you where you need to be.
Are you ready? Okay.
Spice FM.
All right, getting things moving this Friday morning. There's already some traffic on the Mombasa Road headed out to the city, but it's not too bad at this moment. Right around 6:30, we're going to see it then pick up maybe a half hour or so, but it's looking good. Those who've been on the road earlier got a good time in to the city. It's building up though right around Thika Road as you try to get to the underpass. Take you some time to get out of there, but it's also moving and not in a bumper to bumper situation as yet. Where things are already starting to mash up is Kiambu Road as you then try to join the Thika Superhighway, but you should be okay without too much of a headache. Jogger Road looks absolutely fine, as does Langata Road. Now when you move to the south of the city, looks good coming out of Ngong Road as well. Coming out of Westlands as you look west, also looks pretty good. So not much drama at the moment. We're going to take a look in a half hour and see how that may have changed. If you're on the roads, be careful. It is a sprinkling in some parts of the city. Spice FMKE. That's how you can reach us on Twitter or text on 40127.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
Cliff is tuned in from Nakuru and says, good morning, guys. Tuned in from the CBD, Nairobi. That's Edwin Washira. And Vincent says, good morning, Situation Room crew. Eric, imagine while you're away, all that Nduoko has highlighted actually happened.
Hiya. Yani all those things were happening.
They actually happened. Imagine in 24 hours.
Aye. All right.
Faristo Muganda, I'm going to bite my tongue, is tuned in from Ebubere Mumias. Nikondani ya mpango hadi mwisho.
Wa ebubere. Wa ebubere. Wa ebubere.
Huh? Wa Ebubere.
Wa ebubere. Okay. Something like that. More headlines. Doctors are going on strike on Monday. It's the 7th. Not just doctors. Doctors, nurses, clinical officers.
Everybody.
Okay. But the government is telling them, come on, just call off this strike. You know what? We have given the NHIF 6.3 billion shillings for civil servants' medical insurance. Okay. The insurance will not only cover the usual medical expenses, but also the entire COVID-19 bills should a medic contract the virus, as well as burial costs in the event of death. County governments have been urged to speed the implementation of the NHIF medical insurance scheme, with KEMSA also receiving the nod to release all the PPEs stuck at its stores. These details were confirmed by the Ministry of Labour Cabinet Secretary Simon Chelugui and the Ministry of Health PS Susan Mochache yesterday during a joint press briefing where they were urging doctors to call off their strike planned for December 7th. The decision to effect all these benefits was arrived at after a consultative meeting between the Ministry of Labour, the National Treasury, the Public Service Commission, and the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, and the Council of Governors. The CS Chelugui appealed to the medics to grant the government more time to address their challenges, whereas considerable progress has been made to address the health workers' grievances. It's become clear that the government requires adequate time and cooperation to deal with the more immediate needs. Shortly after receiving the 21-day strike notice from KMPDU, the Labour Ministry formed a multi-agency committee to address the issues. The technical team, comprising officials from the Ministry of Labour, representatives from KMPDU, the Kenya National Union of Nurses, the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, was also set up, and all those things. So they've been told now, we have released money to the tune of 6.3 billion shillings to go to NHIF to provide comprehensive cover.
Have they released it for real, or it's a plan?
This one now, the way I'm just reading what has been said. And this was a joint press conference. This was just joint press conference by the CS for Labour and the PS for Health. And was saying that not just that, even KEMSA, we have told KEMSA to release all those PPEs. You guys, please, just don't go on strike. We see we are doing something. Just, okay? We are doing something. So, always the taste is in the eating. Let's see.
It'll be very interesting if they actually listen, because this is, and we had this conversation a few weeks ago.
Money has been released. Yeah. Come on.
Has the money come out?
You see, you don't really care. What you want to do is, can you go to hospital and say, I'm a doctor, I'm now fully covered? That's it.
Can you?
Are there any doctors who are in hospital today, and can they then confirm to
and say that they're fully covered? That would be the question.
Remember when it's ours,
but we said this was going to happen. A few days to the strike, they're going to dangle the carrots again in front of them and say, okay, come on, guys. At least we can do this.
Yeah.
Now, what you don't know is that if that insurance is for a month,
happens, after a few days, hakuna pesa.
Yeah, after a few days, you'll have it for 3 days, and then they'll tell you, you know what? The rest of the money that we were expecting actually hasn't come through. But just hold on for us. Again, into the same vicious cycle that they've been in
ni pesa
for years.
Mnataka. Kama ni pesa mnataka ni sawa. But you see now at the National Treasury, now that we're talking about that, the National Treasury CS says our revenue, he calls it revenue.
Yes.
Our revenue is not up to date. The COVID-19 pandemic has really affected our revenues. Yatani was telling the committee of the National Assembly that is chaired by Homa Bay Woman Rep Gladys Wanga, because he appeared before them yesterday. It emerged that we have been borrowing 2.6 billion shillings per day in these COVID-19 times. This is what has happened. A document from the National Treasury tabled in the National Assembly yesterday shows that, listen to this and then tell me how much this is. 322, 178, 194, 040.
So what was the first number?
322,
that's billion.
178,
178 million.
194,
194,000.
040.
And 40 shillings. Billion. 300 and billion.
Yes. In 15 new loans procured between the 1st of May and the 31st of August.
Okay.
The government procured 887,308 an hour to finance the various projects. Every hour. We started the show at 6,
yes,
up to 7. 800,000 shillings will have been borrowed.
Okay, nice.
Like that. Of the 15 new loans, 12 are from multilateral lenders, 3 from bilateral lenders. The latest details came as the country's public debt cruised to 7.12 trillion shillings, which is about 71% of the GDP, against our ceiling of 9 trillion shillings. And Mr. Yatani was saying, we must borrow so that we can maintain these because revenues are not coming in. We must borrow so that we can run the government.
How will you
When
pay
you see
it
that
back?
happening, then you ask yourself, because the IMF and the World Bank are saying, guys, as you continue borrowing like this, you'll get to a point where you really can't pay. Because your revenues will not be enough to pay this debt.
And you're not making anything.
You're not making enough. So people who are looking at this and are wondering, okay, so. But why are we still borrowing to maintain the same size of government? Why can't we do something? Why can't we cut costs? What costs have been cut?
Nothing. Instead, there's a plan
To increase.
to
To bloat it, right?
Yes.
So we're going into a referendum that is some more money, 14 billion shillings, although Raila insists he can do it with 2 billion. We're going into a referendum, and the referendum will then tell us that when we go to the 2022 elections, we'll have 70 new MPs, and we are likely to get even more MPs if we don't elect women. So it is, if we don't want more women, if you don't want to have 600 MPs, make sure that
Make
you
sure
elect
you
women.
elect women.
And it's not just an MP. An MP is an MP. It's a vehicle, is an office, is a PA.
It's
is-
fuel.
Is all those things. It's maintaining that. Is also increasing the number of staff in Parliament.
Sure. It's drivers.
I saw a clip by the Wasingishu governor, Mr. Mandago. Mandago was saying, these MPs, we are going to give them uniform now. That's a school. How will you tell
How will
600
you
people
tell who is
walking up and down the area of Parliament?
so this person is actually
This person is supposed to
legislator,
enter.
is supposed to come in.
You're a security guard, and there are 600 people who are coming. How will you know who this is? Via uniform.
Wear uniform.
Yes,
There'll be many.
We're going to give them uniform so that we know who they are.
Somebody's on drugs. Speaking of which, the UN has removed cannabis from the list of risky drugs. Among African countries, only South Africa and Morocco voted yes, as Kenya and 24 others voted against the move. A United Nations agency has voted to remove cannabis from the list of the world's most dangerous drugs. The United Nations Commission on Narcotic Drugs on Wednesday accepted a World Health Organization recommendation to remove cannabis and cannabis resin from Schedule 4 of the 1961 Single Convention on Narcotic Drugs. In a vote that Kenya opposed, the Commission members voted 27 to 25 to remove cannabis from the Schedule 4 of the Single Convention, which allows national bans for drugs with particularly dangerous properties. Only the Ukraine abstained from the vote. This formal and long overdue recognition of the medical usefulness of cannabis, including in herbal form, should facilitate much needed medical provision and further research, according to the statement. Other nations that voted with Kenya are Nigeria, Japan, Russia, Togo, Egypt, China, Cuba, Afghanistan, Algeria, Angola, Bahrain, Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, Iraq, and Libya. The others have decided that yes, it should be removed because it's about time we started having conversations around what this drug can actually
Who
do
had put it
that
there in
is
the
of
first place?
benefit. Who had put it on the
that
Schedule
list.
4?
And why?
Well,
What is it that has happened? Has cannabis now looked back and decided, okay, guys, I'm no longer dangerous?
well, look at the other drugs that are on Schedule 4, right? Cocaine, heroin, morphine, methadone, opium, and oxycodone, the opiate painkiller, also known as OxyContin. Decades of efforts have been necessary to remove cannabis from this list, with implications that will slowly but surely be seen over the next few decades. Now, from what they're saying, the research has been that they've actually seen that cannabis is not amongst the bad boys. Cannabis is,
Cannabis has behaved.
yes, it's been nice. It's on the nice list.
So
And
initially,
Santa
their
has said,
research showed that cannabis was something. And now,
it turns out to
over
be that
time,
cannabis is a good thing.
so basically just cannabis just decided to tone down.
Fall in line.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
So what we are seeing also on the continent.
It brings me to that conspiracy that was being put here by the cannabis campaigner. That this thing is put there by certain powers,
So that they can control the
so
sale
they
of
can control the sale, so they can control the money that is generated from it. Because surely, if you had
It would
put it
be a
there
lot.
and your research has showed you that this thing is like that, and nothing has changed nothing has changed about cannabis and its component. Because over time you can say, you know what we have seen is that we introduced a new seed, or the developments in science have made sure that we've introduced new seed. Now the kind of variety that we have now growing now in the world is not
different.
If it's the same plant, what do you mean?
So maybe so I hear what you're trying to say is that maybe earlier somebody had made a mistake. They're not really looked at the properties of cannabis and said it just because it was a drug and it got people, hallucinating or whatever, then they just thought, okay, we're going to lump it in with the rest without having done the proper research. But now, as they've done it over the years and they see that it has some benefit, then it should be removed from the list.
Marongo. Want to enjoy how?
Who? Your neighbors over here have decided.
Kenya, we decided we are not voting yes to that thing.
But you were outvoted.
Yeah,
by two.
but we stand on principle.
Which one is that one?
Banging in Mbaya.
Okay. In 2018, MP Ken Okoth, of course pushed the marijuana control bill that sought to decriminalize the use of marijuana by drawing up regulations for growth and use. You also know that researchers Gwada Ogot and Simon Wara had petitioned Parliament to legalize cannabis. Uganda, just over here, approved guidelines for farming cannabis last year, requiring investors to have a minimum capital of $5 million and a bank guarantee of $1 million. Lesotho legalized cannabis for medicinal use in June 2017, and Zimbabwe in April. South Africa becomes the third country in Africa to accept the use of marijuana. Rwanda has now approved from Parliament the growing of cannabis for commercial use. So, the winds of change are moving.
So that's what's happening.
Yes.
These just things blowing. Okay.
Going up in smoke.
High up in the sky.
Yes.
Okay. 13 minutes to 7 o'clock. Let's take another break and come back and look at more headlines. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room. In the room this morning is Eric Latif and Nduoko. City Muga. Leo kachukua ofu. Leo anachukua break leo. We'll be back on Monday. Good morning.
"24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM. Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
12 minutes to 7.
94.4.
Beba, everybody. Building Bridges Initiative, BBI. Nyanza has 794,300 signatures collected in that county, in the Nyanza region so far. Western has 751,000 signatures. Eastern, 720,000 signatures. From the Rift Valley, 667,000 signatures. All 4.84 million signatures collected so far in support of the BBI. Okay. It is 2020. Now, the referendum question framing is going to be the next battlefront in Parliament, according to the story on page 5 of the Standard of the Nation, rather. A vote on whether the law should provide for a single or multiple questions in the referendum to amend the Constitution is expected to be the ultimate showdown at the National Assembly. The two plebiscite bills in Parliament are shaping up as the next frontier for the battle between President Uhuru and the ODM leader Raila Odinga's camp on one side and the DP William Ruto's faction on the other. A change in the House leadership earlier in the year led to the ejection of Dr. Ruto's allies and the installation of pro-BBI people. The new members of the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee have recommended the removal of a clause in the bill that provides for a vote on every matter raised in a referendum. The initial bill by the committee, which was authored while Baringo North MP William Cheptumo was the chair, provided for different referendum questions. So it was saying at that time, the current is that every question that comes up, people must vote on it individually and separately. Now there's a push to just say no, have one yes or no.
One yes or no.
Yeah, that's the thing. You know, you like the baby, take
Take it
the
as
water,
it is,
take the
everything.
basin. You like the basin, take the baby, take the water. You like the water, take the baby, take the basin. There's nothing at you, but me, I like the basin. I don't like this thing. This thing is not a baby.
So essentially
This
saying,
water is
take
too
it, take it as it is. We're not doing this back and forth.
Don't choose.
But
It's a package.
Yeah, still looking at it, and I think I can see where they're coming from. That even if it is a yes or no, the premise which the yes or no set then should be understood by everybody. Then you're just saying yes or no to something, and then there's so many things that would imply yes. There's so many things that would imply no.
You know,
Or there's so many things behind
you
all
may
this
like
yes or
you may
no.
like out of the 78 things being amended in you may like 60, you may like 70, 75. You don't like those three and you feel so strongly about those three, so what do you do?
So you
Do
just
now
accept
vote?
it since you can
Do
accept
you
the
know-
majority.
do you
Just
vote
accept
yes,
it.
do you vote no? But you feel very very strongly about those three that you don't like,
And if they're not being provided for, you really do feel strongly about it, then you'd rather leave it.
so if you go and vote no, then you've basically just thrown the baby just because you don't like the color of the bathwater.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing that they say. You know, you have a bunch of apples. There's one that's bad, right? And this person is selling them a dozen for 300 shillings. They're not going to remove that one apple. Neither are they going to reduce the cost of the bunch. So do you say, I'm not buying all these, and I wanted apples.
See,
I'm
that's a
not
bad
buying
trader.
all these apples because this one will spoil the rest.
Yeah.
So do I remove this one and take the rest? Or do I just count my losses and still pay the 300 shillings for it?
And that's a bad trader. That is a bad trader. That trader is basically going to lose business just because of this one bad apple. Remove it. Swap. Put another one.
Put a good one.
Yes.
Don't stick on it and say, no. I can't remove this bad apple because I've already put them in these bunches. And if I remove one from here, one is going to... No, you want me to buy, don't you? Right?
Yeah.
And you want me to go and tell other people so they can also come and buy. So switch the bad apple. Don't make me buy it as it is, or don't make me take less because you don't want to make a compromise here or there.
You know, on the one
Meanwhile,
hand,
you still want my money intact.
yeah, exactly. you want everything. No, there should be something somewhere in between. Let's go to the ICC. The ICC, now we know the lawyer, Paul Geshero, is there. He picked an advocate from America. What's his name, that guy? Michael Carnavas.
Yes.
Now, the day before yesterday at around 5 p.m., he made a call to Kenya. This mzee who's been representing him in Kenya, Dr. John Hamino, he told him, Doc, just write a letter to the ICC, apply and tell them you want to be my lawyer. Okay? I want you to also join and be my lawyer. So he has been told to make an application of appearance at the ICC to represent Mr. Geshero. So remember Dr. John Hamino was saying, this man,
I didn't even know what was going on.
I went to court for him. We won the battle. He was not to leave. And if he ever went to the ICC, he was supposed to tell the court that he's going to the ICC.
Yes.
Me, I'm reading from the paper that he's in the ICC.
I didn't even know what was going on.
No.
Then
I'm
I hear
trying to
later
call
from his wife
or
that he's
tells
not
me,
well.
Yeah, you know. Now he's been told, please,
Come and represent me.
just represent me. At the same time, the prosecutor, Fatou Bensouda, says Ruto and Sang case are still alive. Proceedings... No. Let me look at where this Fatou Bensouda is now being quoted. Bensouda told the nation that since the cases against the two were not terminated, her office is ready for any fresh information from either the government or any...
Held against them over allegations of bribery and misconduct. The petition had been filed by Mr. Jared Ongeri after the Apex Court in a majority decision reversed the move to nullify the election of Wajir Governor Mohammed Abdi Mohammed. Mr. Ongeri wanted Justices J.B. Ojwang, now retired, Mohammed Ibrahim, Smokin Wanjala and Jokin Dungu removed for alleged misconduct. He had claimed that a senior government official contacted one of the judges and prevailed upon him to change his mind a day before the judgment was delivered. The call, he claimed, influenced the judge to side with the majority in the judgment of February 15th, 2019. But now the JSC has said, nah, we're not going to do that. Business as usual.
So they've dismissed it. They've said,
Nothing here.
Lax marriage. I mean, this is not one of those things that you bring to us. We don't really need to have a case here brought against the 3 judges.
Exactly.
Remember, we also at the time where the Chief Justice is due to retire in a couple of days' time, and we are also looking at replacing a judge who, Justice J.B. Ojwang, who retired from the judiciary. So again, if you start bringing this, you're basically talking about redoing the entire Supreme Court of the country. Aye, surely that's going to be a major one.
Tough one here.
Yeah. Hey, remember the prize that was won by our teacher in Kenya? So there's a teacher called Ranjit Singh Disale, a primary school teacher in India, is this year's winner of the prestigious Global Teacher Prize. Disale, who developed quick response coded textbooks for his pupils, emerged the world's best teacher, winning 111 million shillings in prize money. This year's winner of the 2020 Vacation Global Teacher Prize was announced at a conference yesterday. He was considered it's considered the Nobel of Teachers. The annual award is given to an educator who has made an outstanding contribution to the profession. So Mr. Peter Tabichi of Kenya now has a successor. Yes.
Okay. That's a good thing. Congratulations to them.
Yeah. Umeona hivyo hata wewe?
I have seen so.
Okay.
Okay. So, China steps up attempts to influence Biden team. Chinese agents have stepped up the efforts to influence President-elect Joe Biden's incoming administration, according to a U.S. intelligence official. William Evanina from the U.S. Office of the Director of National Intelligence said the Chinese were also focusing on people close to Biden's team. Evanina said it was an influence campaign on steroids. Separately, a Justice Department official and more than 1,000 suspected Chinese agents have fled the U.S. In Wednesday's virtual discussion on the Aspen Institute think tank, Evanina, chief of the Director of National Intelligence Counterintelligence Branch, said China had been attempting to meddle in the U.S. efforts to develop a coronavirus vaccine and recent American elections. He continued, "We have also seen an uptick, which was planned, and we predicted that China would now vector their influence campaigns to the new Biden administration. And when I say that malign foreign influence, that diplomatic influence, plus or on steroids, we are starting to see that play across the country to not only the folks starting in the new administration, but those who are around these folks in the new administration."
They're making it sound like it's a bad thing. I mean, it's what's expected.
They don't want it, though.
Come on.
No.
Every new administration, everybody else in the world will try to have a say or try to have a way in. That is what
into
happens
the new
globally.
administration.
Of course. America did the same thing when Xi Jinping took over. Coming up to the top of the hour, this is Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room. Keep it right here. In the next hour, we talk about the Msambweni by-election. It's now 7 o'clock.
Spice up your life. Spice FM, Nakuru.
Okay,
Traffic.
so we are still seeing some traffic on Mombasa Road this morning. Just there, as you're joining Mombasa Road at an area called Nakuru, there's been an overturn of a vehicle there, and it's affecting the traffic that people would normally use to try and get away from Mombasa Road. And so that is they're trying to sort that one out, but it's causing some traffic and it's building up quite heavily. So Outer Ring Road towards Jogger Road, there's a morning rush and it's already bumper to bumper there as you're trying to get to the City Stadium roundabout and then into the city thereafter. So it's moving quite slowly already, but it's not bumper to bumper, so it's moving and not too much of a problem. That's the kind of traffic we see this Friday morning. We'll take a look what's happening outside of the city as folks try to get out, but for now what we see is that it's moving slowly, but it's moving well in most parts. If you do get stuck somewhere, let us know, won't you? Spice FM MKE, I'm going to say that again, Spice FM MKE on Twitter, or text on 40127.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man up, not down. This is The Situation Room.
It's two
the
and a half
only
minutes
way to
after
start
7
your day.
o'clock. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room. This morning, it's Eric Latif and Nduwoko. C.T. Muga is away until Monday. Let me begin with today's proverb from C.T. Muga. The same boiling water that softens the potato hardens the egg. This is an African proverb. The same boiling water that softens the potato hardens the egg. Okay?
Yes.
If we just bring it home, closer to home, and even closer to what we made very, very popular in 2017, Wembe ni ule ule.
Can do different things.
Yeah, Wembe ni ule ule. Same boiling water hardens the egg, softens the potato. Same thing that you do, same way you used to go in. And this one now can also be applied to what we are seeing in the Nairobi city county government. The same boiling water that could bring in Mike Sonko is the same boiling water that could harden the egg.
In this case, still him.
In this case, remove Mike Sonko. Remember, he had a lot of support from especially those in higher powers in politics.
Yeah.
In terms of getting the nomination for the Jubilee ticket, in terms of getting support to run the county government. And now, those have the tacit endorsement of their party. And that's why they're just basically moving him out. So we'll have a conversation shortly about the Msambweni by-election, which is to kick off on the 15th of December. Several candidates are there. We have seen the Mombasa governor, Ali Hassan Joho, has made it his personal project to ensure that he campaigns for the ODM candidate, Omari Boga, so that he wins. We've also seen the Kwale governor, in whose county Msambweni constituency lies, has been campaigning for a different candidate and saying we cannot have other people coming in to, try and influence how things are run in Kwale.
Not on our turf.
Supporting other candidates. So there's an independent candidate called Faisal Bada, and he also is right up there. There are other candidates. There are at least 1, 2, 3, 4 other candidates who are in this particular by-election. So research firm TIFA conducted a survey, a poll on the likely outcome of this particular election. We'll be speaking with a TIFA consultant researcher about that research. But in the meantime, we have been looking at the big headlines in the papers, and we still have one big one that I would like to talk about.
I thought you were going to give me yours.
See the one who has the big one.
Okay, so looking at the counties and what now has been said, county governments have basically said now that we would like you to please not keep people in hospital who are not able to pay their bills. Okay, so asking that
This is from County 026.
This is from County 019.
Oh,
Do you
019.
remember the one that is 19?
Yes. Nyeri.
Yes. I'm just going to find that particular story now. I lost it. It was there and then it's gone.
It was right there with you.
It was right there.
So the County Assembly of Nyeri, as you look for it, let me just see what I remember reading. The County Assembly of Nyeri voted yesterday and said, you know what? People are being detained in hospitals because of bills. People who pass on and then their bodies are being retained in mortuaries because their families have not cleared their bills. So now they're urging the hospitals to release the patient, and then they'll pay the bill.
Yeah.
Release the body of the come and clear the bill later. You don't have to do this
anymore. So what had been happening previously, now that we found, is that hospitals had been releasing patients and corpses only after the families settled medical and mortuary storage bills. The motion, which was moved by Aguthi Gaki Ward Representative Stanley Wakibia, calls on the county executive to establish policies and mechanisms to help patients who cannot meet their bills by the time of their discharge or death. It asks for negotiations with private hospitals to stop detaining corpses and patients over unpaid bills. The ward representative said families agonize when patients or bodies remain in hospital, especially if the medical and storage bills are high. Detaining patients and corpses is deeply distressing and potentially economically disastrous. The question, though, comes in that if then you're going to give a carte blanche and say everybody should be, if you have a bill and you're not able to pay at that moment, be released. I can see where the danger there would lie. Is that some then institutions would not, wouldn't be able to recover this money.
So you're basically now making institutions become debt collection agencies.
Yes, and then they're going to spend their time where they should be providing these services,
There's
medical
an administration
services.
Side of a hospital. Come
Who
on,
already has a
when you're
lot of work
detaining
to
this
do.
person is occupying a bed that should be occupied by somebody else who should be occupying this particular bed. There are other sides, if you look at it. So somebody has recovered, the doctor has discharged you. Okay? Doctor has moved on. He's moving to the next patient. The hospital's administration is the one that is now holding you because they're saying you ought to pay us. As they're holding you, you're still occupying that bed. As they're holding you, you're still eating and accruing more bills in that hospital. The hospital, see, there's an admin side that has the finance, that has everybody else. Put up a new department, call it debt collection.
They don't have money. The people who were in the best didn't pay.
Yeah, but those are the ones we're going to pay.
But now that's the thing. So now you're going to spend your time chasing them to get this money out.
Why are you assuming that we're going to be chasing? You're saying that we Kenyans are not honest people.
How did that just go south very quickly?
You release me from hospital, I tell you I'm going to pay. I'm going to pay. 2 years, 3 years, I'm going to pay.
Still going to pay.
Yes.
So just calm down.
Just chill.
It's going to be an issue. Watch and see. And you'll see. If this does pass, because we're not at the place where it has actually gone through, it's a motion. It has not been adopted yet, but the likelihood of it being so is high.
The motion has been adopted.
It's been adopted already, so it's going through.
They're just urging now the executive to come up with modalities of how now this can be done. And I think it's a conversation that needs to happen because, for sure, people actually get detained because of non-payment of bills.
And even after they're
and
well, they're still in hospital.
The fact of the matter is when somebody has been taken to hospital, when somebody has checked themselves into a hospital, they're unwell. The doctor has certified that this person needs to be admitted to this hospital so that I can have better care of him. I can take better care of him. At some point, the doctor comes and says, I think you've gotten better. You can now be discharged. It's not that the people are sitting there thinking, I have money, but I'm not going to pay. Let them keep me here another extra week.
I like it here.
I like it here. No, you don't have money. So find things, and this is where UHC comes in and all those other things come in, because people, and this is a story across the country, people are being detained in hospitals because of bills. People are not able to bury their loved ones. Somebody has died, you're not able to get to bury them because the hospital cannot release the body. This is across the country. When the Nyeri County Assembly goes ahead and discusses this, it's because it's a matter that is really affecting people.
For sure.
Conversation should happen.
By the time it has
So
gotten
hospitals
to this
should
level,
come up with another way. And instead of saying that we are detaining you, come up with something else. What do you want? You want a title deed? You want assurance? What do you want? Because the other thing that happens is you see this in private hospitals. You're going to hospital, they first of all demand that you place a deposit. If you don't have a medical insurance card, they're like, no, a deposit. You're going to ICU, it's 10 p.m., you've been picked somewhere hali mahututi. You're being taken to hospital. The hospital says, this is an ICU case, the way we're seeing it, and we need 700,000 shillings deposit. 10 p.m., we don't even know who this person is. We've just brought them. I mean, I am a
We
Samaritan.
found them on the road.
The
yeah.
good one.
Yeah.
I've just brought the guy on the road. I found him on the road. I've brought him to the hospital. You're telling me 700,000 shillings.
Where on earth am I supposed to get it, even if it was my relative?
And even if it was a relative, yes. How was I going to be able to access 700,000 shillings? So this is a thing that should actually be happening. It's a conversation that ought to happen, I think.
Maybe it's in a good place then. Now you come up, because now what you're saying is that negotiations should continue, or there should be room for negotiation in the first place. And we're not even talking about negotiation on the amount of the bill. Negotiation in this sense is,
the payment
yes,
mode.
I know that we need to pay this, but the mode should be different so that you can allow me some wiggle room to actually get it done.
Yes.
Yeah? Bury my dead, then sort it out later in installment plan.
If it means that the government, so the county government, for example, sets up an insurance scheme and it puts in there and says, anybody who is released, this is like sort of an insurance, okay? Then the county government goes ahead and employs people who will help hospitals to collect the fees. It's fine. But something ought to happen, because this is a responsibility of a government, provision of healthcare. A healthy population works best for the government.
True.
So what is it that the government is doing? First of all, the government has neglected the issue of healthcare to the best of the people's understanding, because you're going to hospital and you're going to pay the entire bill yourself. If you have anything that is going to be paid by NHIF, it's because you've contributed to. It's a membership scheme. This is not government. It's you who has contributed to this scheme. You've been paying, and NHIF is going to foot a certain part of the bill. The rest is upon you. So what is it that the government can do to help you? This conversation, I completely support what the Nyeri County Assembly is doing.
Long time coming.
Yes.
Okay, so there was a big one yesterday. We saw the announcement in the morning that the fee increment at the university level was going to triple. So what essentially university students in public universities have been paying up until now was 16,000 shillings, right, per semester. So they were looking at 48,000 per year. This is going to triple in the coming year, because that is what they have asked. And as soon as this was announced yesterday, things definitely, or interestingly, went up in flames, went up in smoke yet again, because they battled the University of Nairobi students yesterday. This was the police now. This was yesterday afternoon during protest over a plan by the government to triple tuition fees. Education Cabinet Secretary George Magoha admitted that the idea of increasing the fee from 16,000 to 48,000 had caused some tension. To say the least. He added that the decision would not be implemented until stakeholders are consulted. Student leaders gave the government 7 days to drop the proposal, failure to which we will resort to unspecified means to achieve justice. Police officers lobbed tear gas canisters at the group that had blocked University Way. Student leaders said the proposal being pushed by vice chancellors and supported by the National Treasury, as well as the Ministry of Education officials during a meeting with MPs on Wednesday, is an insult to families, given the bad, sorry state of the country's economy. So not just an increment, not just doubling, but essentially tripling. So going from 16,000 a year to 48,000 a year is what they were being asked to pay. And
Reason? I'm not getting the reason.
The reason why they did this, okay, so it was announced yesterday. The reason why they did this was because since 1989, there's been no increment of fees. However, they've had to employ more teachers, they've had to employ more support staff, and even the cost of doing education business has risen, and there has been no increment. It has been at this standard 16,000 a year for the last 21 odd years.
So whose wisdom is this to increase it at this time?
These stakeholders now, from the National Treasury to the Ministry of Education and the university vice chancellors, they've all come together, public,
and decided that this is the best time to.
This is the best time to raise the fees. And remember, not just double.
Was this a conversation that has been happening over time, that, we shall increase the fees from 2020, 2021?
Well, they were speaking amongst themselves. They were not talking to those concerned greatly, being the students.
Are they giving the reasons why they have not been having these conversations since 1987? Is it 87 or 97?
No, it just dawned on them now that, hold on a minute, it's been 21 years, 1989. It's been 21 years and there's never been an increment, and things are pretty hard. Yeah, things are pretty hard. We need to pay. There's demands to pay lecturers more. And it's a good rate that students have been enjoying for all this time. So it would be a good time then to raise the fees, and then we would be able to meet all our overheads without a problem.
It makes sense. It makes sense that, all those years, everything else has gone up apart from the school fees. It makes sense that you need to review it. And that's why you need to be thinking about reviewing it periodically, saying every 5-year cycle or whatever. But just getting up one day and saying, from next year,
It's tripled.
it's actually going to triple. There's an issue here. And I can see why the students then would be up in arms and saying, surely, people. At this point, I'm not even sure I'm going to be able to afford the 17 Gs. I'm not even sure whether even HELP has the money to afford loaning me this.
As it is, HELP is giving out loans and it's staggered. It's not everybody who applies to HELP that gets a loan. It's a staggered schedule. So, I mean, even that, you're not sure that you will.
And now here, that same amount suddenly. I think the timing of it is something to discuss. Maybe they should just say also stagger. They should say, okay, we're going to triple it, but also understanding where we are at right now. We cannot start immediately because of factors such as, we know them. Number one, COVID-19 times.
Perhaps.
It's a very clear one. In these COVID times, really, is it the time to start? Taxes are going to go up. Okay, not really go up, but some taxes are going to go up. There's a new tax that's being introduced. The turnover tax, which we'll have a whole beef about in the coming days, and what it means to small businesses. A business whose, for example, total profit comes out of the turnover that it makes, which is about 2% of turnover that it makes,
then
is
you want
actually
half
going
of
to
that.
profit. Then you want 50% of that in terms of turnover tax. What are you doing to small businesses? We'll have a conversation about turnover tax in coming days. But now there are all those things. So we're raising taxes. We are going back to the taxes that have been given some relief and tax holiday on because of COVID times from January. Then we also talk about now raise school fees. Kids are going back to school, and now raise university fees for those who are in university. Triple it. I think we're just going into, this is just tough times from every side.
How many can you really take? How much of a shocker can you take to your system, really?
How do you want to beat me?
Always.
Like, constantly.
Above, below, to the side.
There's nothing that we can do about this.
No.
Okay. Okay. So let's talk about research and how research is conducted in the country before we get Tom Wolf on the line. So the issue of polling, especially around elections, is not just controversial in the country, it's controversial globally. We see the results of the polls and the results of the actual election. In the last two elections, for example, in the US election, people have come out and questioned, so what happened? Is it that the people misled the pollsters, or is it that the pollsters misread the answers that were being given?
Or they asked the wrong question.
Or are they asking the wrong questions? Are they stuck on the same old questions? When the results come out and they are way off the margin of error from what you had clearly come out to tell us that this is the likely outcome of an election, then you start asking yourself, hey, so what's happening? Are they still relevant? Is polling still a relevant thing? Or if you say that the polling could be relevant because it's able to give you a deep into the feeling of the people around an issue before an election, then it gives you the importance that people place on certain issues and the decisions they're going to make in an election. Is it the methodology that then needs to change? Is it the question that needs to change? Is it the review of the same that needs to change? Is there anything that needs to change? Should the people then be told, stop lying? Should people change? What needs to happen?
Well, I mean, look, I think also at the same time, so sometimes when these questions are being asked, when these polls are being when these polls are being taken, is that somebody will answer they've given that answer. It doesn't guarantee that their mind will change in the future. It doesn't guarantee that they may be feeling a certain type of way today, and then as things progress, they change. Remember that even the subjects, right? Generally, the subjects that they are answering about also are human beings of fickle mind. That you could have, because if we're going to look specifically at a political poll, you have people who may carry the day with one idea or one agenda today, and 6 months down the line, it has changed when a poll result is being released. Meanwhile, somebody answered based on what they were seeing 6 months ago, for example, and then they go to the vote. Meanwhile, those who follow polls clearly will tell you that from what the polls were saying, all indicating factors led to, or all indications led to, that this individual was going to win. But then you find out something totally different, which is the argument that people who are now anti-poll would say, anti-pollsters would say, well, there's some people who've given an answer based on a particular event or a particular circumstance that has changed by the time they're going to the vote. So their mind essentially has changed. And these are the reasons why people are saying then in this sense, polls just don't work.
So we'll talk about polls for the next 40 minutes on this show. And we'll start with the Msambweni by-election, which is happening in a couple of days' time. On the 15th of December, the voters in Msambweni, a new member of parliament, to replace their former member of parliament who passed away. So we have a number of candidates who are participating in this particular election, and including Omari Boga of ODM, Faisal Badar, we have Ali Hassan, we have Marere Mwachai, we have Sheikh Mahmoud Hamisi Wakaonje. All these candidates are going around the county, around the constituency rather, campaigning and seeking the people's nod to join parliament and represent them. The research company, TIFA, went to Msambweni and spoke to the voters of Msambweni, sampled a couple of voters in Msambweni, and they asked them, who are you likely to vote for come the 15th of December? And according to the poll results that were released, it shows that the ODM candidate, Omari Boga, has a 54% chance of getting elected. And if you compare that to 29% for Faisal Badar and 9% for Ali Hassan Mwakulendo and Morere Mwachai at 2%, then it tells you that clearly the likelihood of the ODM candidate carrying the day to replace the previous ODM candidate is high. Now, we'll have a number of questions regarding this. I'll be speaking to research consultant, poll and research consultant Tom Wolf. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for joining us. Welcome to The Situation.
Happy to be with you.
Now, we're going to go into a break shortly in about 2 minutes, but let's just take those 2 minutes just to give us the brief overview of what your poll showed and the results that it has shown.
Yes, briefly, as you said yourself a moment ago, the team based in Kwale did a random selection at the household level, that is not interviewing people on the roadside or in marketplaces, but using a very precise method of walking based on sampling points to obtain a sample of 320 residents of Msambweni constituency, asked them a number of questions about their past voting record, current issues in the constituency, in the area, and also about this by-election. And as you said, 54% of them, when they were asked who are they going to vote for. Well, first I should say the first question related to the by-election was asking people if they actually knew or which candidate they knew best, and then we asked them if they were intending to vote. And out of the 320, 296 said that they were intending to vote on December 15th, and then those respondents only were asked, as of now, who is their that you mentioned. 54 for Mr. Boga, 29% for Mr. Bader, 9% for Mr. Makulonda, and a few percent for several other candidates, with 2% saying they didn't know yet who they were going to vote for, and 5% of them who declined to reveal their vote choice, which they're perfectly entitled to do. So that was the basic finding of the survey with regard to the by-election.
All right, so we'll talk about what else, the other elements of this particular poll that you conducted, and what then you're able to glean out of that. And when you come out of this break, we are speaking with consultant Tom Wolf. He's a poll and research consultant for TIFA Research, which conducted a poll in Msambweni ahead of the by-election to see what the sentiments of the electorate are. We'll ask him about what the people they sampled, how many they sampled, that they were asking on the ground, and then what kind of sentiment that we're able to read out of this. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room, broadcasting on Spice FM, on KTN Home, and online, spicefmke.co.ke, and Spice FM on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.
They are smart. They are funny and unfailingly entertaining. They are the adults in the room, and they are here to help you be the best adult you can be.
Just to be very honest with each other here, not all of us are going to get tall, dark, and handsome. Not all of us are going to get 0.5s or chotaras. Some of us have to learn the short guys. Some of us have to learn those pot belly people. Some of us are...
Spice.
Don't ask your partner if he or she enjoyed it. I think the approach should always be, if she's enjoyed the journey, she will let you know.
Yeah.
She'll tell you, hey, maze, your bus is big. Mi sijaipanda basi kubwa kama hii. Juu hata hii basi, hiyo mafuta tulieka yote, imetuleta hapa vizuri. Hii basi iko na nguvu. Hii basi iko na nguvu.
Spice.
Now into a relationship, it becomes like you've stopped your life, and then now me, I am your life. You see, like, what happened to your life? What happened to you? What did you
And
used to do?
women are guilty about that. No,
Is your wife listening to the show?
Whether it is matters of the heart, finances, or work that's weighing on your mind, worry not. The adults in the room will help you stay winning. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life.
In the face of COVID-19, life has been adversely affected, with nearly all schools in Kenya lacking basic hand-washing facilities, affecting more than 19 million children. Together with Davis and Shatliff and Trubla have partnered to collectively unite other corporates and individuals to join the initiative towards setting up basic sanitation facilities around the country. For more information, send an SMS to the short code 40616 or
Spice FM. Nyeri. The
Okay,
weather
so
with
we're
Spice
looking at
FM.
drizzle in most parts of Nairobi. It'll be partly cloudy through the day and coming to a low of 16 with rain expected throughout the evening. It's partly sunny in Nakuru at 16, highs of 24 and lows of 14. Mostly sunny in Nyeri at 15 degrees with highs of 23 and lows of 13. It's sunny in Eldoret at 13 with highs of 24 and lows of 11. Light rain in Kisumu at 19, highs of 27 and lows of 19. It's mostly sunny in Kakamega at 18 degrees right now. We'll see highs of 26 and lows of 14. Experiencing light rain in Mombasa at 26 degrees, highs of 30 and lows of 25. Where in Malindi it's mostly cloudy at 19 with highs of 25 and lows of 16. Continues to rain in Kampala at 20, highs of 25 and lows of 18. In Dar es Salaam also raining with highs of 30 and lows of 25. We're looking at mostly cloudy conditions in Johannesburg, highs of 24 and lows of 13, where rain continues in Lagos at 26, highs of 32 and lows of 25. And in Kinshasa it's clear this morning, highs of 32 and lows of 22.
Chilled Spice.
Okay, what are we looking
Traffic.
at now? The accident that took place right around Jogger Road, that is being sorted out as we speak. On Thika Road coming into the city, not too much of a problem. Headed outbound also, it's looking good. Very, very good this morning. No traffic whatsoever. We also saw that incident at around Nakuru this morning, and it's also affecting traffic that is moving towards industrial area and also out then towards Mombasa Road. Apart from that, it doesn't look too bad, guys. Looks actually quite good. Don't forget, in some parts visibility is low because of the rains that we are seeing in the city, but it shouldn't be too terrible. Okay, in case you get stuck anywhere, let us know what it looks like in your neck of the woods and we'll be sure to shout that out to Spice FM KE on Twitter or text on 40127.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. Spice FM.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
7:30. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. It's the Situation Room, broadcasting on Spice FM, on KTN Home, online. In the room this morning is Eric Latif and Nduoko. Joining us on the line is poll and research consultant with Tifa Research, Tom Wolf. We are discussing the results of a poll that was released yesterday about the Msambweni by-election.
Right, so Thomas, we're looking at what the results actually showed. Are we looking at what the country essentially saying, or the people of Msambweni saying, that could be representative of a national conversation right now in terms of where their loyalties lie? Or are we going to stick to just what Msambweni is saying?
That's a very good and difficult question. And I would say that we get some indication that the answer, I mean, you've given two polar alternatives. I would say the reality is somewhere between those two, mixture of local and national issues, which is in the local elections in most places. The same would apply for these forthcoming runoff elections for the United States Senate in the state of Georgia. That is a mixture of local factors, perception of the candidates, the effectiveness of their campaign teams, as well as how people view their party identities and what that means for the way the Senate will behave in Washington. And the same thing is true here. Since I have not visited Msambweni constituency for several years myself, I've only been following the campaign in the media. I wouldn't know exactly what the balance is, but there is some indications of both of those factors. Let me just give you two examples. When we asked the question of these candidates who are standing this by-election, which one of them do you know best? And you could see that slightly more people mentioned Omar Boga than Faisal Badr. That doesn't mean that they don't know Badr is standing. The question was, which of them do you know best? And it was a 10% difference. So Mr. Boga has a bit more personal recognition on the ground than Mr. Badr. But again, given the fact that we did the data collection, it ended about 3 days ago, and we have another, at that point, another 14 or basically 2 weeks before the by-election itself, depending on how effective and active the campaigns are, notwithstanding the context of the COVID-19 virus pandemic, that difference in recognition may either increase or decrease as we move towards actual by-election. At the same time, we asked a question as to support for several possible future presidential candidates, that is the DP, Mr. William Ruto, and the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. And we could look at that figure in a moment, and you can see that there is some connection in terms of preference for candidates. But I just want to mention one other thing, if I can, before we get into your very interesting question that was raised at the beginning by your colleague, and that is, to what extent would these figures be an indication of the actual results? And although there are a number of factors in terms of sampling and so on, whether people who said they are registered voters, because people who were not registered voters were not interviewed for this survey. They were thanked, and then our interviewers said goodbye and went to another household according to the walking pattern to recruit someone else for the survey. The main issue is voter turnout. And if we look at the last election, the general election in August of 2017, turnout in this constituency, when they were voting for 6 different elected positions, was only 62%. And as I said at the beginning, 92% of our respondents said they were going to vote. I would bet you money, I don't know how much, but I would bet you money that 92% of them will not vote. The number will be lower. It will probably even be lower than the 62% we had in the general election, because by-elections usually have even lower voter turnouts. So I would say, even if our results showed that 54% of our respondents said they would vote for Mr. Boga and 29% would vote for Mr. Badr, it's still possible for Mr. Badr to win, based, number one, on how effective he uses his campaign time, the remaining days, and today is only the 4th of December, so there are another 11 days to go. And then second, voter turnout. Now, what determines voter turnout? And I'll throw that question back to you and your colleagues. If people are registered to vote, they know there's a by-election coming, what are the factors that will determine whether someone goes out to vote or not? But before I throw that question back to you, I'll just mention, I was looking at a couple of stories of media survey yesterday. I won't mention the media houses, but they said something like 43% of the respondents are not going to vote, or are not going to vote because the election doesn't mean anything to them.
Yep.
And several of these media houses misinterpreted the data. They took only the 24 respondents, that is just the 8% of our respondents who said they're not going to vote, among whom 43% said the reason they're not going to vote is because the election doesn't mean anything to them. It's not 43% of the total sample. So I guess the people who wrote those media stories did not pay close attention to the data. So let me stop there and let you carry on.
Okay, so just to respond then to the question that you're throwing back at us, what would be the reason why people would not turn up to vote in this particular by-election? Number one, of course, would be time. In a general election, you get a public holiday, so everybody is off work so that they can go and participate in an election. In a by-election, you don't get that. So if your employer does not give you time to go and participate in this, then you will not go and vote. Secondly, the importance that you place in it. In a local election, vis-a-vis in a general election where there's everything else, you're thinking about the president, I mean, it's a national campaign. So that sentiment also gives you, how do I really want to participate in this? Should I spend my time in this? And you?
Well, sure. And then at the same time, what else is going on at that particular point in time? And how important is it? I mean, look at where we are now, coming towards a general election in less than 2 years. There's also the possibility that people are thinking, okay, well, does this really matter if this individual will not be there? I mean, come the next 2 years. So let's just, let those who have the interest and time to go and vote. I'm not really interested in this at this point. I mean, there's several factors that play out here that would stop somebody from going ahead to vote.
Yes, let me just research that has been done both in Kenya over the decades, really, as well as in other parts of the world. We see generally that voter turnout, both in general elections and by-elections at the coast, is lowest compared to other parts of the country. That is, per registered voters. Now, I'm leaving out the question as what's the proportion of adults, that is, people aged 18 and over who register in the first place. But voter turnout is lowest at the coast. Now, why is that? As I say, people have done academic research into this and so on and so forth. Don't want to get into the details. But I think overall the general factor is that people at the coast have felt marginalized. They felt that their economy, by and large, has been controlled by either minorities or by people from other parts of the country, indeed other parts of the world, with a lot of foreign investors in tourism and so on. Education levels have been low at the coast, especially for women for various reasons. So people don't feel so personally empowered. And also, as I say, when you have generally multi-ethnic communities, given the fact that many Kenyan voters will identify with people on the basis of ethnic group. Now, in Msambweni, the vast majority of people belong to the Digo community. I haven't done a historical sort of a personal check on the ancestry of these different candidates. Clearly, most, if not all of them, belong to that ethnic group. But another factor that you also mentioned, not just that there's just 2 more years before the next election, but it's not as if at the national level the control of Parliament hangs in the balance. To the extent now that ODM is cooperating with the Jubilee government suggests that nothing in terms of passage of bills or other parliamentary activity is hanging on this result. So that will encourage, I think, people to examine the importance of the election and for those who are going to vote based on the evaluation of the candidates. And perhaps, as you mentioned in your other question that I avoided answering for the time being, whether they think that symbolically the outcome of this election would have an impact on the national political competition that seems to be evolving or has been evolving, especially between the DP and the former Prime Minister. One other thing I'll say before I stop. I looked at the 2017 elections for the governor for Kwale County. And I see that Governor Salim Buria won with 2/3 of the vote, that is 65%. Now, he defeated several other candidates. The ODM candidate only got about a quarter of the votes that he did. And yet, the coast has generally been characterized in the media as an ODM zone. So I ask you, how was it that the incumbent governor, who had been chairman of the Council of Governors, the first chairman, Governor Mburia, how was he able to overcome, also Raila Odinga got 65% of the vote in Kwale, and about the same in Sambweni constituency in the August 2017 election. What was it about Governor Mburia that made him so popular that he was reelected so easily, trouncing his ODM opponent and the other opponents? And when I see Governor Mburia on television campaigning for Faisal Badr, I'm asking the question, between now and the election, based on his own popularity, his own electoral success in the last two elections, how much impact can he have in changing these figures that our survey showed, where Badr is behind Umari Boga, by, 15%. So that's just a question I'll leave hanging in the air.
All right. Looking at polls, I mean, even as this conversation progresses, Tom, are they still relevant in terms of what people think when they're giving you the results to how they may actually think when they're going to do the business of voting? Can they really be indicative? I mean, if we look at the US, for example, there was a hullabaloo outside of this that, then did the pollsters get it wrong? Did they ask the wrong question? Did the people lie when they were giving their responses? Looking at all of this and how it plays out, have then polls lost their potency now when it comes to what they're able to predict or what they're able to show as indications of what the people are feeling?
That's a very good question, and one that pollsters and the media house that report those polls in the U.S. Are grappling with at the moment. And, of course, we had the same mishap, although not quite to the same extent, in 2016. Same thing with the Brexit vote. I think one of the reasons that I would say that Kenyan polls are more accurate than American ones, at least Kenyan polls that are done face-to-face, because you have a much better opportunity for selecting an accurate sample of the population you're targeting, in this case, registered voters in Msambweni, even if you phone people up. What has been revealed, even in the 1 month since the election in the U.S., is that Trump supporters, by and large, were refused to answer telephone calls that came from polling companies because they don't like pollsters, because Donald Trump doesn't like pollsters. So it was very, very difficult. In fact, it wasn't possible for the polling companies, and all the polls in the U.S. and in developed countries use mobile phones now. Nobody goes house to house because that just is too labor intensive. So they got a very, very incorrect sample of the voting population. Now, there was a little bit of lying also, that some people who supported Trump were reluctant to say that, although that was more the case in 2016 than this year. But we don't have that problem in Kenya. By and large, our polls, since really the return of polling with regard to elections in 1997, have been pretty accurate. I mean, remember in 2005 when the Stedman Company did 2 polls about the referendum, and in both cases, in October and then in November, they got, of those who had made up their minds, was 57 to 43 against, that is to vote no. That's exactly what the ECK announced, and there were no claims of rigging. In 2010, there were 3 companies that did polls about that referendum. All of them were within 2 or 3% of the actual results, which was, I think, 62% in favor of the new Constitution. And in the elections also, 2002, 2007, 2013, 2017, they were all within 2 to 3 or 4% of the result. Now, those elections were very, very close. 2007 was so close, Kenya almost had a civil war.
Yeah.
In 2013, Jubilee won 50% plus just several thousand votes to win on the first round. 2017, there was a bit larger of a margin, around 53 or 54 to to 46%. So, but all the main polling companies were within a couple percent of that. So I don't think we have that problem with the accuracy of surveys in Kenya if they are household surveys. I'd be a little more worried about mobile phone surveys, even if the prevalence of mobile phones in Kenya is now around 85%. It's very high. So it would depend on how many households actually have mobile phones, who picks the phone, and so on and so forth. But I don't think Kenyans lie.
So you conduct your polls physically by going to a person and asking them questions, right?
When you say you, as you said, I am now
pollsters, not Tom Wolf.
Yeah, TIFA, some of our surveys, we've done a series of surveys in Nairobi recently, as you have seen, on COVID-19 in Nairobi's low-income areas. Those were all done with mobile phone.
Okay.
TIFA has a very robust mobile phone base, and we're asking people about their awareness of COVID-19 and what preventive measures and so on. So we weren't trying to predict anything. But for this one, we felt it was important to do this at the household level.
Person to person.
And suggest that in doing a predictive poll, at least trying to capture people's future behavior, face-to-face household surveys are better.
So, on average, how many questions would one person be asked when they're being polled in Msambweni specifically for this particular one?
Well, I haven't counted the total number of questions in the questionnaire. I mean, for people who said they weren't going to vote, we then asked them why not, and we jumped to the questions on the BBI. We had several questions on that, but we weren't going to ask details about why have you decided to vote for this candidate if they told us they're not going to be voting.
Okay.
So the number of questions people asked would vary, but by and large, this survey took about a half an hour for each interview.
And I'd assume that mostly the questions then would be asked in Kiswahili.
Yes, we have that data. People were given a choice of English or Swahili, but from what I heard from the field supervisor, between 90 and 95% of these interviews were conducted in Swahili. So all the questions would be translated into Swahili beforehand.
The reason I'm asking that is because of the question and the result that you, in fact, mentioned, which was about the candidate that is best known by a respondent. And the question in English here is, which of the candidates in the Msambweni by-election is most familiar to you? Now, when I think about that, I'm trying to translate it in Kiswahili. I wonder how then, even in English, if you say most familiar, how do you gauge the familiarity? If you ask me which of the candidates is most familiar to you, I may just think how many candidates are familiar to me.
I don't have the Swahili text in front of me, but I can guess that the question would be something like, katika hao wagombezi wote wanaogombea kiti cha Msambweni katika uchaguzi mdogo, ni yupi ama ni mgombezi nani unamjua zaidi? Au unamfahamu zaidi? But I would have to check the text of that.
Right. I think it's something should be something close to that. So I'm just wondering that when someone asks you, nani unamjua ama unamtambua zaidi, ama who you most know, how is someone likely to answer? I mean, how are you going to? Is somebody now going to start gauging? I mean, is it popularity, or is it knowing? That's
or the person that you see more often.
Yeah,
or
is it the person that you see more often? When somebody's answering this question, what is the most likely thing that's determining how they respond? So, for example, when they say, a majority of them say they know Omar Boga, they are most familiar with Omar Boga, and then Faisal Bada at 36%. What is determining this response?
We haven't asked that question. By what means do you know this person the best? So as you people at Spice FM should hire Tipa, so we go back to Msambweni and find out what criteria they would that they would use to determine how well they know somebody.
You know why I'm asking that is I'm just thinking about the kind of confusion that that emerges when you ask me that first question, and then the next question you ask me, who would you vote for as the MP? And then, so you've asked me who I am most familiar with, and then you asked me who I would vote for. Is it likely that I may be most familiar with one candidate, and then I'd say I would vote for the other one?
Well, I mean, obviously you can't vote for somebody that you don't know, or that's difficult. I mean, when you're given the ballot paper, you may see the names of a few people that you hadn't been aware of before. But I would think, as a result of all the campaign activity and the media attention to this, that there would be considerable recognition of probably all the candidates. I mean, Omar Boga, of course, in the 2017 general election, he ran as an independent after he lost the ODM nomination. And there was considerable controversy and news coverage about that. So I would think he would be probably the best known. I don't know in terms of square kilometers how big this Msambweni constituency is. I mean, I've been there, but I haven't walked from one border to the next. It's fairly large. But I would think, I mean, it would be interesting if the day before the by-election, if you hired us to go back and interview people and ask just that one question, which candidate do you know best? First of all, to see if these numbers would change. More people would, I mean, they would just change in one way or another. And then to ask that question, how have you come to know about so-and-so? That's a good question. We haven't asked that one.
Are polls necessary? Are polls absolutely necessary when it comes to political competition that we see? Are they an important ingredient on the whole decision-making process? And more importantly, the manner in which these questions are asked. Are people then set up to answer a certain way, or is it just a blank canvas that you're given and then you answer based on your knowledge and understanding?
Yeah, those are two very interesting questions. Let me deal with the second one first. I think the questions are pretty neutral. Our interviewers, of course, are not walking around wearing campaign buttons or signs showing what political party or candidate they support. They introduce themselves. They have an identification to show they're from a survey company. I think Kenyans are pretty used to surveys, and they see the results reported. Some people are happy, some people are unhappy, but on the way the questions are asked. I mean, if you asked a question, not which candidate as of now are you planning to vote for, but if you ask, for example, would you like to vote for Faisal Badr in the forthcoming election? Now, that's a biased question because you're feeding them the answer, and you're not even, you're including mentioning, you're not even reading off the whole list. So that's, but I think these questions are pretty neutral. Your other question, I think, is more challenging, and that is, are they necessary? Now, of course, it depends how we define the word necessary. There is no law, as far as I know, in any democracy in the world that says before an election you have to do a voter intention poll. So it's not necessary in the legal sense. I would rephrase the question and ask, is it useful? Are these polls useful in a positive way? And negatively, in what ways can they be damaging or harmful for democracy? And I'll just maybe suggest quick answers to each of these. I think they're useful in the sense that they give the candidates as well as the public a picture of how things stand at the time they were taken, which would allow, for example, if I'm a very strong supporter of Sheikh Mahmoud, and I see in this survey that he has only 2% compared to the two leading candidates of 46 and 36%, I might say, rather than vote for someone that clearly, according to TIFA, has no chance of winning, let me make a choice between the top two candidates because of those two I have a preference. So in that sense, they can be useful for voters to be more strategic in using their weapon of the vote. In terms of damaging, if, for example, I am such a strong supporter of Sheikh Mahmoud and I don't like the other candidates, I might say to myself, since my candidate has no chance of winning, I'm not going to bother to vote. And that's not good for democracy either. So I think it's just, and I think we would have to do a survey after an election, talk to people who were interviewed before, and ask them if they saw the results of the survey, what impact they had on this voting behavior, and see how they judge it. But I'll just say, finally, in regard to this very important question, I have not seen evidence in Kenya, at least, that publishing results of a pre-election voter intention survey or the president or anything else has actually changed the way people voted. And I'll give you one example. Before the 2007 election, at Stedman, we found that one presidential candidate, Kalonzo Musyoka, was getting around 9 or 10% of the vote in our several surveys. And that's exactly what he got from ECK in the election itself. And I went to Machakos one day for another meeting, and I just engaged people in front of the Teatot restaurant there at the Matatu stage, and I asked people if they had seen the Stedman results before the election. And they said yes. I got 10 or 15 who said yes, and I asked, and what did your candidate from home here get? He said around 10%. I said, that's correct. And did you vote for him? And they all said yes. And I said, if Kibaki was at 44% or 45%, and Raila was at 45 or 46%, why did you vote for somebody who had no chance of winning? And they just laughed at me. And they said, huyu ni mtu wa kwetu, na tena hata Kibaki amejaribu mara tatu, alafu akapata ushindi.
Tom, thank you very much, Tom. Thank you very much for joining us. We've got to take a break here and take a break with you. Asante sana for speaking to us. Time for us to take a break on KTN Home. We've been speaking with a consultant at Tifa Research, Tom Wolf, about the Msambweni by-election and the polls and what they're showing. Thank you very much, Tom. We'll talk to you after the election also to see.
Thank you.
Asante sana. Time for us to take a break on KTN Home. We'll be back shortly.
87.9 Spice FM. Mombasa. This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings.
1.5 minutes to the top of the hour. So, do you think this will have any impact on the poll itself in Msambweni?
In terms of how people will vote, I don't know that a poll would actually change the minds of people in one way or another. In some cases, it could be that it's giving the feeling on the ground, or that it is now used as a tool of sway. That people come and say, well, you know what, this is what people are saying. And people say, oh, okay, well, since people are going that direction, let me also vote that way. Or, since people are going in that direction, let us all come together and up the ante and make sure we vote in the other direction. You see, I don't know that it would...
the poll is not revealing to people anything they didn't know anyway.
No, I don't think so.
They already have a clear indication that the leading contenders are Omar Boga and Faisal Bada. And they also know that somebody like Hamisi Mwakaonge does not really stand as high a chance as Omari Boga, for instance. So it doesn't really affect much. We'll look at what people have been saying on social media in terms of responses to this when we come to the next hour. And then in the next hour, let's talk about the BBI and the proposal on gender balance and the role of a woman representative in the National Assembly, what the role and the impact of that has been for the last 7 years. Good morning. It's now 8 o'clock.
Spice up your life. 102.5 Spice FM. Kisumu. Traffic.
Okay, so traffic actually today is behaving very well. It's a good Friday, guys. It's not so bad. Mombasa Road doesn't have any traffic. It's definitely a good day. Well, it has a little bit. It's not too crazy, but you'll be able to get into the city centre without an issue whatsoever. All right, looking outside of the city, however, the folks are travelling away for the weekend, and that building up right around Limuru, but then not so bad at all. As you're getting into Naivasha, out towards Nakuru, it builds and then it ebbs. So not too terrible at all. Coming off from Gong Road, Langata Road looks pretty good. Coming out of Westlands and also off Thika Road, we had the issue right around the Pangani underpass. It's moving now without a bumper-to-bumper situation. Okay, unless that changes, let us know. Spice FM KE on Twitter or text on 40127.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
8, this is Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room. Getting into the third hour, in the room this morning is Eric Latif and Nduoko. C.T. Muga is away until Monday. As we begin the hour, let me tell you today's proverb. The same boiling water that softens the potato hardens the egg. The same boiling water that softens the potato hardens the egg. This is one of those that are called the African proverb. I'm just thinking about it, in terms of the closest one that I can come to in Swahili. Wembe ni ule ule. Wembe ni ule ule. So some comments have come in with regards to the conversation we're having.
Yeah, just looking at the poll results that have come out concerning the upcoming Msambweni by-election. Jacob Lucina says, I am in Msambweni, and I would like to defer with what Ms. Tomwolf has said, saying about the by-election. Most Msambweni residents are not eligible to vote because they are not registered voters here. I vote in Nairobi. Most of my friends work here, but they are registered as voters elsewhere. But if you meet with them, they will say they will vote for Omari Boga. Actually, the real voters support and will vote for Faisal because they are tired of being in ODM and their lands have been grabbed, and yet ODM chiefs have never helped them get their land back. That's why they need change.
Okay, so Jacob Lucina is a political analyst in Msambweni. And he's looking at his crystal ball and he's analyzed and seen most of the voters are tired of what they're seeing. And that's why they'll go for Faisal Bada.
Even if they'll say with their mouths that they would go for Omari Boga.
They may come and lie to you on all these things. And their choice will basically be determined by something else. Yeah. They actually put in a rider, the Tifa researchers, and they said 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to read number 1. Why these survey results might differ from those of December 15th. Reason number 1, some voters registered in Msambweni may be elsewhere and they come home to vote on the 15th. That means that they were not sampled in this survey. Second reason, some of the 92% of the respondents who said that they will vote may not do so because voter turnout is impossible to predict. And based on the previous election in the coast, by-election turnout is lower than this self-reported figure. So the likelihood that the 92% of the respondents said, yes, I will participate, is not guaranteed. Third reason, active campaigns are still underway with nearly 2 weeks remaining until the by-election itself. And as the data shows, campaign promises are identified as a major factor in influencing the voters' choices, which is close to what Jacob is saying. And the fourth reason is that every survey has a margin of error. And in this case, it is plus or minus 5.7% for those who said that they intend to vote. So all these reasons put together. But Jacob Lucina's basic translation of what he's seeing on the ground, he says the voters are tired of being in ODM and their lands have been grabbed, and yet ODM chiefs have never helped them get their lands back. That's why they'll need change.
Yep.
That's why they'll move to a neutral candidate called Faisal Bada.
Yeah, so the chatter on the ground then is different from what the general perception would be. So people saying something different from what they have previously thought. And even different from what they might actually say on a poll.
We will see. 15th is just 11 days away.
Time will tell.
So on the 16th of December, we'll be able to look back and see, all right, did it come close to what had been predicted? Let's talk about affirmative action. So the issue of gender balance and gender issues, a mainstreaming gender conversation has been there for a while. I mean, remember from the Beijing conference coming back into the country and all those that were campaigning, let's have gender issues being mainstreamed. We have it now in the Constitution that no government appointments shall be effective if they don't consider gender.
Yep.
Even going to the point of the National Assembly, even going to a point of the Constitution itself, trying to kickstart this whole conversation of affirmative action by introducing the 47 women rep positions in the county. The reason for this was basically for that. We are talking about, let's see if we can get more and more women elected into the National Assembly and the Senate and the county assemblies. And that's why we're saying that every assembly must have that gender balance. No gender shall occupy more than 2/3 of the membership of that assembly. So the 47 were basically just to kickstart and say, let's see, if we actually now start with the 47 MPs already in the House, and then expecting that a few others, maybe 10 or so, are going to be elected directly from constituencies, then we're already moving somewhere closer. The MPs got into the National Assembly, and unlike now the others who have actual constituencies, who have the CDF, these ones were saying, all right, so our effectiveness on the ground is being questioned. Because people are asking, so we elected you. We can see our local MP and what the local MP is doing in terms of building school, blah, 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 but we don't feel you. What are you there? What are you there for? So they campaigned and they actually got the Affirmative Action Fund, which is also a fund just like the NGCDF, which they use then to champion various projects, especially focusing on the minority. Women, youth, persons with disabilities, they come up with projects that they support. People would still question and still go back and say, this woman rep, I don't feel her. I don't feel the value that she brings into the National Assembly or into my life. So the question that has been there over time is, what's the effectiveness of the woman rep position? BBI is proposing that now we have the person who is of the female gender campaigning in the entire county to become elected by the county as their MP. Instead of them going to the National Assembly, let them go to the Senate. So we have one male senator and one female senator going to sit in the Senate. And then there was also the whole issue of, okay, so you've removed these MPs, the women, taking them to the Senate and denying them what they've been enjoying. One, the Affirmative Action Fund. Yeah. Two, a say in the voting on budget and other such matters. Three, the opportunity for women voices to be heard in the National Assembly and all that. But those are besides the point. The question that I want to ask this morning is, has the woman rep position been effective so far? Has the woman rep position gotten us where we wanted to go? And I have an answer. In my own personal opinion, I'm one of the people who completely champion affirmative action. And when I saw the 47 in the Constitution draft, I liked it. And I like and I support the idea of having that affirmative action of saying, let's start somewhere by having the 47 women. Have I seen the effectiveness of the 47 women who are in the National Assembly now representing the 47 counties? Absolutely, yes. If I look at some of them, look at people like Sabina Chege. Sabina Chege right now is the chair of the Health Committee in the National Assembly. She was the chair of the Education Committee in the National Assembly. Has she contributed a lot? Yes. Have we seen the other women who are occupying those seats contributing in the National Assembly? Yes. In terms of participating in conversations, in terms of even championing bills, in terms of how they come together and they are visible and they are seen and they are felt. Yes, I have seen, in my own personal opinion, the 47 women reps have been effective. Have they been effective, in your opinion?
I think in order to gauge effectiveness, then you still have to go back and look at the reason why they were instituted in the first place. Was it to create a space where then women could actually come in and be in positions where decisions were made in terms of legislature for government? Or was it to just give women a chance? If it was only to give women a chance and say, well, here's an opportunity that we've created for women because the noise that has been made previously needs to quell, and we need to actually say, okay, yes, women can get in and do their job. In terms of effectiveness, that was done, because then you started to see more and more women across board. I don't think that it has been as powerful as it should have been. Unfortunately, I don't think that every single woman who was in that position took the opportunity that she was given and ran with it. That's why we only see a few of these women shining out. That's why a few of these women standing out. It would have been my wish that finally, when you get this opportunity, when we get this chance to put women in 47 positions in the country, whereas you were coming from nothing, 47 positions in the country, there would have been a glaring opportunity for women to now say, look then at what we are supposed to do. I am not taking away from those that actually did stand out. I am saying that it would have been an opportunity for many not to just say, yes, okay, finally, a woman is in this position. That's great. Applause and let's move on. But I think that it has also been almost a wasted opportunity for some who could have done a lot more and just didn't use the position to do that. That's why we have people who are standing out. For example, Sabina Chege, Gladys Wanga now, who is in a position that no woman has ever sat in before. We have you have to actually look to find and say, okay.
There was a poll that was conducted, remember, the other day, and they were looking at the performance. Remember the performance indices for members of parliament done by Infotrack? There was also now the one that was done on women rep positions, and it rated them this way. From the top 10, we have Rosa Buyu, we have Gladys Wanga, we have Ruwaida Mohammed, Maison Leshomo, Rose Museo, Zuleka Juma, Kawera Mwangaza, Sabina Wanjiro, Beatrice Nkatha, Purity Ngirishi, Wangoi Ngirishi, Jane Wanjiku Njiro from Embu County, Nandi's Tekla Chebet, Marsabit's Safia Sheikh Aden, Mombasa's Asha Hussein Mohammed, Koske Florence of Kericho, Tana Rivers, Rehema Hassan, Liza Chalule of Nakuru, Momanyi Jerusha Mongina of Nyamira, going all the way to Kiambu County's woman rep, Wamushomba, Gadoni Wamushomba. This was just ranking on, okay, do you feel the effectiveness of your member of parliament? Some of these names that I've mentioned here are names that you don't hear at the national level. But in the county level, when they go back, they're like, okay, yes, I know this person and I know the work that they're doing. You've raised something that is actually very, very important, which is how do we gauge the effectiveness? It was not just so that we can have women in the National Assembly.
For sure.
It is so that we can have representation that brings in the gender focus and also the gender perspective to the National Assembly. There are many people in the country today whom you ask about the woman rep position and they tell you, we don't see them representing women. Not necessarily that they were going there. They were going there to become members of the National Assembly, so that the position that is occupied by Gadoni Wamushomba and the one that's occupied by Moses Kuria, coming from the same county, is the same. What is it that they represent? They represent their constituents in the National Assembly on matters of legislation, on matters of counting, of checking and balancing the National Assembly, on matters of participating in thinking about the plight of Kenyans. That is what they're supposed to do. So when a member of parliament contributes and participates either on the floor of the House or in a committee, just like any other member of parliament, I think that's effective already.
I think
we sort of tend to give them this other extra duty of we should be hearing them championing women issues. Yes, they do, but they also do that in addition to everything else.
Sure, but in some cases you can't blame people because by virtue of the fact that it is called a woman rep, people think that is exactly what she's supposed to be doing, representing the rights of women only. And only that is what she's supposed to be doing.
And that's
one of the problems, because the name suggests that is what the name to a lot of people suggests
many people call
that is what she's
rep,
supposed
and that
to be
is
doing.
That's what would come.
This is what I'm saying. So it
women's
is a mistake.
Rep. It is not women's rep. It is a representative who is a woman, and that's
now,
why the title is
do you see where the
woman
confusion comes?
Rep.
Yes, but the confusion comes in because it has been changed in the minds
To
of
women's
people.
rep.
So people believe that she, in that position, is supposed to be championing the rights of women. How many times
Only,
do you?
no.
How many times do you name member of parliament and the woman rep does not even come in? But the woman rep is a member of parliament. She is. So she's supposed to be doing the same work as any other member of parliament. But because you want to bring in the issue of gender balance, you now make sure that it is a woman. That's why, because if it was not the case, then even if it was just to represent the rights of women, it could be a man.
Anybody can.
Anybody
In fact,
could
that's
do
the
it.
other argument that also
Anybody
just
could do it.
flies everywhere.
Right?
I mean, why must you have a woman representing gender issues? Come
Because
on,
it's
that's-
not about gender issues.
That's not it. That's not the reason why this person is there. This person is there for other reasons. The affirmative action to make sure that we have diversity of voices in the house representing gender in terms of diversity of gender voices in the house. If we go back into how then we keep judging and harshly sometimes judging the performance of the women. If you look at Kandara woman rep, Kandara MP Alice Wahome, she's a woman elected by the constituents of Kandara to represent them in the National Assembly. Murang'a has actually how many women? Murang'a has this one. It has Alice Omaua and it has Sabina
Shege.
Right, 3 in the house. You cannot say on matters of women and that Alice Wahome cannot talk about women because there's already somebody else who deals with women. No. Or that the fact that now Alice Wahome is in the house and we have Rose Omaua as well in the house, then that the issue of women is overrepresented in Murang'a.
I think, though, because look at it like this. If you sit in public and you sit with a lot of people, what do they tell you? When you hear this point of woman rep, they say, okay, what our mama? Vitu's our mama. That is what they're supposed to be discussing, which is not the case. A woman rep is doing the same thing as a member of parliament, whether that member of parliament is a woman or a man. It doesn't make a difference. But you're saying because there was such a great imbalance, because that most of the members of parliament came and represented only one gender, now create a position almost forced whereby this member of parliament position must be occupied by a woman. And I think we need to divorce ourselves from this thinking that she only goes then into this position to then deal with matters gender and matters women and anything concerning women. And I think they also come to fault because anything that comes then in terms of legislation, Vituzawa Mama is what they decide to go and now flank themselves around, which is not right. Because the more they do that, then they also show people that that is what they think they should be doing. And I think we would not be hard-pressed to find women who are in these positions of member of parliament as woman rep, who actually feel that their job is to gather around the little chicks and do some work where it involves sharing food and making sure that the youth are taken care of. It is not.
And
you have a
supplying
legislative,
lessons to women.
yes, you have a legislative role that you're supposed to have filled. There are things having to do with the law and the establishment of the same that you are supposed to be championing. It is not about flower girls and looking at who is singing what and wearing what outfit for the choir. It is a lot more than that. It is the same legislation that you're supposed to be passing and championing
But that's what
that
they
every
do.
other member of parliament is doing.
That's what they do.
The perception out there is totally different.
Why is that perception different?
Because of the fact of how it's called. Because of how it's called.
Yeah, okay, how it's called. But when a woman is performing this role in parliament, why would somebody start saying that, oh, it's because of how you look, or because you're yellow, because of the color of your skin? Why would that come up?
Not because of how, no, it's not because of how they look physically, because of how it is called, because people think women's representative, it is representing the needs of women in government, which is not the case. I'm telling you, people don't understand the difference or have not accepted the difference. And I think maybe it's a point to actually to clear up. A women rep is a member of woman rep is a member of parliament, just like any other member of parliament.
And it happens a lot, actually, in terms of, just the confusion. And even I keep correcting even some of the journalists, calling it women's rep, women rep. It is woman representative. This is because the seat is exclusive to women candidates, right? And this is why. So it's not even women rep, it's woman rep. So because of that kind of confusion, that's what you're saying, because many people call it women's women's rep, women rep.
That
women's
they've gone
rep.
in,
So
yeah,
it's
no,
about
because of that, that
you're
they've
a
gone in.
representative of women.
Yes, that
So-
you've gone into.
So you start judging them by, but women are still suffering in this constituency.
That's
Women
why
are
then
still-
you will say, that is why then you will say that they don't feel the effectiveness. And that's why I said, if you want to judge the effectiveness, go back to the reason why this role was founded or established in the first place.
So you are
want
saying
people
that
want to judge the effectiveness of a woman rep on the fact that women are still suffering in the constituency,
You're
and that
saying
was not their job in the
It's
first
possible
place.
for me to go to Suba North and find somebody complaining that women here are still suffering, forgetting that their MP is a woman, but we're looking at the county representative.
Yeah.
Or going to Kandara and saying women in Kandara are suffering because Sabina has not done her job.
Yes.
And forgetting that Alice Wahome, who is the local
Is the MP.
is the MP, and she's also a woman. And we're not judging Alice the same way we're judging Sabina.
I'm telling you, it sounds
Why?
crazy, but that's the case. It sounds crazy, but that is the case.
Just because
The one that they put there to
just
take
because
care of the issues
Alice
concerning
Wahome
women
is
is not
called
doing her
MP,
job.
and Sabina is called woman rep.
Women,
So we start looking at them differently.
yes. It sounds crazy, but that's it. It sounds crazy, but that is it.
Hussein says, Eric, do you mean that these women reps have always had money? I've never seen my Nandi woman rep do anything to the people she represents in Nandi.
See?
Hussein, what is do anything?
I told you.
I have never seen my Nandi women rep, okay, doing anything to the people she represents in Nandi. Have you seen your Nandi senator doing anything to the people he represents in Nandi? Because this is somebody who's been elected by the entire county. Have you seen who's the Nandi senator? Samson Cherargei. What is the difference between Samson Cherargei, the senator, and the woman rep for Nandi County?
Just what Hussein has just
This is
told you.
Tekla
that they-
Chebet Tum. The difference between Tekla Tum, who is the National Assembly and is the woman rep for Nandi, and Cherargei.
There is no difference from what we understand it in terms of the legislation, in terms of the legislative arm of government. But do you see that people already believe, people know? What has he said, gone on to say? Eric, you're out of context. Even them too have chosen to only help women. You will only see them in women group affairs. Kidogo too, they include the youth. You see? They have also taken up that role and responsibility where they feel as if their job, regardless of the fact that they're a member of parliament, they feel their job is to be helping women there and sort out those
They
issues.
don't
Aside
feel
from
their
that,
job is that the Affirmative Action Fund is supposed then to look at how to champion the plight of the minority and the marginalized. And this includes gender, this includes youth, this includes persons with disability. So if the project that the county MP is championing will focus on that, then that's how it look like, that's their bias. Because your local MP, Bwana Hussein, should be focusing on these other issues of schools, of dormitories, of clinics. Anyway, Paul calling in from Mombasa. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm good. It's been a long time. Huh?
Yes, it
Paul,
has.
how are you?
I'm okay. I'm waiting for you guys to come for the vacation in Mombasa.
Mombasa twasija hii Krismasi.
Musije.
Now, Paul, first, do you know your woman rep? And two, is this seat effective?
I even don't know my woman rep in Mombasa.
Did you vote?
Yes, I voted.
Do you think the person that you voted for is the one who... Do you know the person you voted for? Okay,
let's start there.
Do you know the candidate?
There was a lady, I can't even remember the name, I think.
Wow.
Okay. The Mombasa woman rep is called Asha Hussein Mohammed.
Okay, thank you for that.
All right.
So, actually, what I was thinking is, this affirmative action, whatever I understand with affirmative action, it's not a permanent thing.
Yep.
It's supposed to be something to correct a situation or a scenario that is already there, that there are more men than women in parliament or in representation. So when they're doing this, the affirmative action, what I'm thinking, it was not meant that it will be like that forever. That's why the women rep are there to try and uplift their fellow women so that in the future, women can also be confident enough, can also be bold enough, can also be seen that they can work and can be elected as the men are. But if the woman rep is there, and we cannot, actually the women cannot feel why she's there, then I think it's pointless even to have the woman rep, because then the man can still represent the woman's agenda, can still represent any other thing.
Okay, but then do you feel that by having like 90% or 80% of people in the National Assembly previously being of the male gender, that the woman voice has been felt and effectively so in the National Assembly, in deliberations of the National Assembly?
That's been a great thing because the woman's voice has been heard. But remember, even before this affirmative action, there were women who were more bolder even than after the affirmative action came in. I think after the more women came in, then their voices even went low, because you could hear more of the woman, how she would champion for the fellow woman in parliament and elsewhere, more than right now how we're feeling it. So I think the woman rep currently has failed the thought and the dream of what she was supposed to do in parliament.
Thank you very much, Paul, for your contribution.
Thank you.
Time for us to take a break. 26 minutes after 8. We are live on Spice FM and on KTN Home. We were asking you this morning, call in 0719-012-600. Do you know your woman rep? Not women's rep, not women rep. Do you know your woman representative? And have you felt the effectiveness of these 47 woman reps in the National Assembly? Good morning. We'll be back shortly.
Sugar and spice and everything nice, just the way you like it.
The Spice Drive.
Did you have a great day? I hope you did. I intend to make it better from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. I'm going to be taking you home nice and chill. Everyone is welcome aboard. The hashtag is Spice Drive, and of course, Spice FMKE on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
The Spice Drive with Monique. The official soundtrack of getting you where you need to be. This is the Situation Room. The only way to start your day. Spice up your life.
All right, light rain in some parts of Nairobi, highs of 24 and lows of 16. It's also partly sunny in Nakuru at 17, highs of 24 and lows of 14. Mostly sunny conditions in Nyeri, 16 degrees. We'll see highs of 23 and lows of 13. It's sunny in Eldoret at 16, going to highs of 24 today and lows of 11. Light rain in Kisumu at 20. Going to highs of 27 and lows of 20, and mostly sunny conditions in Kakamega at 20, going to highs of 20. In Mombasa still at 27, highs of 30 and lows of 25. Sunny conditions in Malindi at 21, highs of 25 and lows of 16. We'll see rain throughout the morning in Kampala, 21 degrees at the moment, highs of 25 and lows of 18, and it's raining in Dar es Salaam at 28, going to a warm high of 30 and lows of 26. The highs will be 24 in Johannesburg, mostly sunny at the moment at 15, coming down to lows of 13, and it's raining in Lagos at 25, highs of 32 and lows of 25. We're in Kinshasa this morning. It's clear at 22, going to highs of 32 and lows of 22.
Spice FM. Nyeri.
Looking really good today, guys. Mombasa Road even, not a problem today. However, slow down on Thika Road as you approach the Safari Park Hotel. There's some construction going on, and so that affects the road there. Slow down so that you don't get stuck in any way, shape, or form. Okay? Coming out of Westlands and then into the CBD, today has been proving very, very good in terms of traffic. We're not going to have too much of a problem today. It looks like traffic is going to be great, even out of the city. Looks fantastic. Spice of MKE. Reach us on Twitter in case anything does change, or talk to us on 40127 via text.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
8:30. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room on Spice FM, on KTN Home for the next half hour, and online. We are talking about the woman rep position. Have you felt the effect of the woman rep position? The 47 positions created by the Constitution for woman rep. across the country since the 2013 general election to the 2017 one up to now? Have you felt the effectiveness of that? We've got two people on the line, Peter in Kisii and Yegon in Nandi. Good morning, all brothers.
Good morning.
Good
Eric.
morning.
Let's start with you, Peter. What is your view? First of all, who is the Kisii woman rep, Peter? And secondly, have you felt the effectiveness of this position?
Naam, kwanza naomba niwe radhi natumia lugha ya Kiswahili.
Tuendelee, ndugu.
Mwakilishi wangu wa kike anaitwa Janet Ongera.
Yes.
Lakini Janet Ongera mwanzo akiwa akifanyia ODM alikuwa popular. Akiwa Senate mteule alikuwa popular. Sasa wakati amepewa kiti amefifia. Ubaya wa watu kitambo before katiba mpya wanawake walikuwa wanadharauliwa na wako wakisikika. Tukasema wacha tulete kitu kimoja kinaitwa women rep ambayo kiende kuinua wamama kutoka mashinani ama kiangazie maisha yao. Itawasaidia kibiashara, sio pesa lakini ideas. Watavujie kazi, yani connection. Lakini sasa wakati walipewa kazi wakuja kuomba kura, kazi yao wanaishi Nairobi, wanatembea na watu wakubwa, atuone mashinani. Mimi mwenyewe siwahi muona, siwahi musikia, sijui kazi yake ni ipi, lakini ninajua women rep anasaidia watu wote. Kwa mfano, jana tulikuwa na siku ya kusherehekea walemavu. Nikaona mheshimiwa wa Nairobi Esther Basari hizi akasaidia watu wote, vijana na watu wakubwa, wa kike na wa kiume. Hakusaidia wa kike peke yake. So hapo ndio shida iko. Watu waliamini women rep anasaidia wamama peke yake. Lakini vile dada hizo ameelezea hapo kwa studio, ameelezea vizuri sana. Women rep anastahili anasaidia watu wote kwa kaunti nzima. Lakini kitambo sio kama wanapewa pesa, sio kama hawapewi pesa, kwa sababu mimi mwenyewe sijawahi uona hakuna ni project, lakini ukisikia misani mikubwa wao ndio wako hapo.
Lakini wacha nikuulize Peter, are you not judging your woman rep more harshly than you judge your local MP? Which constituency are you in Kisii County?
Nimetoka Kitute Chache, mahali mheshimiwa Chimi Angwenya ametoka. Huyu ni mzee mkongwe. Wote wana MP wote tunawajua wanafanana. Hakuna project yoyote yenye wanaleta mashinani. Niwe tu mnawaangazie CDF inafanya kazi fulani yenyewe atujui.
Okay.
Na champremu my women rep Janet Ongera kwa sababu maybe hata yeye aelewe chenye anafanya. Hata akiambiwa fanya hivi ataweza fanya. Sasa ubaya ni ile anaishi na wakubwa. Sasa wako chini mashinani atumupati tumwambie mashida zetu. Tumeketi hivyo tu.
Asante Peter. Asante. Yegon.
Yes, good morning, Eric.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Yegon.
Now, before I give out my comments, let me answer Eric from Twitter. The difference between Gerard Gay and my woman rep Tekla is because Gerard Gay will come out and say that, you see, I've just championed the revenue allocation to come to Nandi. I've made sure that we get enough share, you see. But our women rep, we will only see her in women groups. Most women reps are championing the rights of women. And even back during the 2010 constitution campaign, ilikuwa hii kiti ni ya wamama. And because the women have been neglected and now we have the representative, please pass this katiba. You see? So women voted overwhelming for 2010 constitution because of that seat of women rep. And even them, the women reps they have taken that part of helping only women. Unless you will justify, unless somebody, I've heard my friend talking about Pasaris. Pasaris is having a governor seat. That is why she's trying to do everything to all people.
Okay.
But
so,
apart from women who are in committee...
Let's just talk about Nandi and the example you've given. Apart from the issue of revenue allocation, where Samson Cherargei was very vocal because it was clear that Nandi in those formulas was going to benefit, what else would you say that, okay, this is what Cherargei has championed for Nandi, and using the same yardstick and say that Tekla Chebet Tum has not done the same in the National Assembly for Nandi.
You know, apart from representation, from the revenue sharing which has been jumped in, we have been having issues in the county. We have been having the multinational district. This person have been championing for the rights of the entire people. The problems in Nandi County. In fact, he's doing more than what our MPs are doing, because our MPs are only silent and they will only participate in because they have the CDF allocation. So they have some, like, we are doing these roads, building these classrooms. But look, if you see counties whereby we have there is political difference between the deputy governor and the women rep. Why? Because this seat of deputy governor without portfolio, the women reps, the women in that chair have decided also to come and champion the rights of women. And you will find out the women reps that this person is we are Najugwa Kaziang.
Ah, okay. Thank you, Egon. Thank you. Let's hear from others. Nyangao in Kisii, Nyamira. Are you in Kisii or Nyamira? Nyangao, which of the two? You're in Nyamira.
Nyamira.
All right, Nyangao. Good morning.
Good morning.
Do you know your woman rep in Nyamira, and how effective is she?
Woman rep in Nyamira is Jerusha Mumanyi.
Yes, Jerusha Mumanyi. So, from 2013 to now, have you felt the effectiveness of this position?
Oh, that it was not the one who was there previously. But for now, it's the one. But actually, there's no development going on when you look at that seat of women left. So the road, there is that participation of a women lab. I don't see any contribution she has contributed so far.
What in your understanding, Nyangao, should the woman rep be doing? What should a woman rep do?
A woman lab should be informed as well in such contributions, like regarding to women. Also, the development of the county in terms of development. Can you see the kasi kwa vijana? So, actually, there is, when we come at the LP level, he has also not contributed so far.
Okay.
There's some impassable roads, so you can see.
Sawa. Thank you very much. Ed Getonga in Nyeri, good morning.
Morning, my Nairobi offer.
Good morning.
Well, we still have a governor. Bado haijapita.
Lakini anaweza enda na hamna deputy, so you're heading there.
Yeah,
anyway,
okay.
How you doing?
Very well.
Jana haukuwa Eric.
Bana.
Well, now, my women rep is Zahaba Mokami. Nyeri County name.
Ed, your line is not clear today, Ed. Jimmy in Malindi.
Yes, hello.
Hello, good morning.
Morning too.
Yeah, so Kilifi woman rep.
Yes, it's Gertrude Mbeu. Now, have you felt the effectiveness of this particular position? Looking at, and Jimmy, you really understand the Constitution and the law, and you know the reason why this position was introduced. What do you feel? What I can say is that there is no effect, there will never be any effect, and we will never expect any effect. Reason?
Why?
These positions, they were put there for people. As you vie for the women rep, you are supposed to gather your votes and bring them to the party that you are voting for. So if I am in Jubilee, she was in ODM. She is in ODM. She's representing ODM as a woman rep. Why would we have a constitution that segregates? Why should we have a women rep and not have a men rep? You see, so these positions have been created just to gather votes.
But are you not seeing the affirmative action side of this?
Sorry?
Are you not seeing the affirmative action side of this?
Jimmy, let's maybe just explain something, right? if the position was for what you are saying it was, then there would actually be no problem if a man was in that position. Okay? If it was to champion the rights of women and such, a man could sit in that position. What we are saying, however, is that the women rep position is a member of parliament like no other. It is just that it must be occupied by a woman because the effect of balance across genders had previously not been represented. That's what we are saying. It's not for champion rights or such. Sure, those can fall in. However, the position was created so that women can have more representation in legislation. That's why it was made.
Very good. That was the reason to why they should, when these people, when they want to fix something into the system, they must have a very standard reason. But the main aim is that. But the real sense is to gather votes. Why don't we have a president? Why do we have a president that is for all the Kenyans? Why don't we have a president for the women? Women president representation. So
this women rep, I must insist, the women rep position is a position for everybody. It is just that the woman is the one who must sit in that place. This position is for everyone.
That's why everybody votes.
Yes, yes. This position is for everyone. Why would we have two members of parliament? Because what I'm trying to say is this, we have a member of parliament in Kilifi County, who is Asha Jumwa, and we have a women rep who is sitting in the same parliament, who is Getting Mbeu, okay? These two people come from different parties. So what do you expect there? And we are following the MOU of the party. Now, what do you expect the two to work? So what am I trying to say is this, we should only have one member of parliament in every area, in their jurisdiction.
And what is this area? What is this area, Jimmy? Is it a
I'm saying like this,
or county?
Kilifi, if possible, county. Because if we have one governor who is representing the whole county and especially is working for development in the whole of the county, why don't we have one member of parliament with his deputy or with her deputy representing the women, the children, the youth, and everybody? But if we say that the woman is representing for the women, a woman who is sitting there just to satisfy that we have got 1/3, or the women have also been included into the government, and there is nothing that is happening, then these positions, we don't need them at all.
Thank you,
if
Jimmy.
I was the MP.
Thank you, Jimmy. Let me hear now from Robert, who's on the line. Robert in Kisumu, good morning.
Good morning, Eric.
Salama.
Good morning, too.
Good morning.
Now, I think, first of all, I think the position of women rep was basically created to bridge in the gap that we had of the 2/3 gender rule. So this thing, basically, when these guys were creating this position, they didn't have it in mind what the women rep were going to do at the county level. Look at it this way: we elect governors, we elect senators, we elect ward representatives. Where does the women rep? See,
Robert, line dropping. 0719-012-600. The conversation we're having this morning is about the woman rep position, 47 woman rep positions created in the Constitution because of affirmative action, because of the principle that's contained in the Constitution that we want to have gender representation and ensuring that we have a bit of a gender balance, at least 1/3. At most, any gender can only have 2/3 representation in any national body, and not national but public. This is talking about, for example, in the county assemblies. That's why we say you elect members into the county assembly. If that county assembly does not have that 2/3 gender balance, then you shall nominate to fill the gap. Same thing with the National Assembly. If you do not have 2/3 gender balance, you shall nominate to fill. No, you shall not nominate. Members of Parliament are supposed to come up with a formula on how to ensure that this is realized. But the Constitution, at the same time, the framers of the Constitution said, to kickstart this process, let's start by having 47 seats that are already just set aside for women, and then these women shall go, only these seats shall have only female candidates.
Yes.
And the female candidates, then the one who wins goes into the National Assembly as a woman member of parliament, and they have every right. They are an MP just like your constituency MP. Absolutely no difference between the woman MP, the MP who is a woman representing Malindi constituency, and the MP who is a woman representing Kilifi County in the National Assembly. So, have you felt the effectiveness of this particular seat? Because the whole argument now, and you've been seeing this over the number of years, is we don't feel what these women are going to do in that house. What are they doing? I mean, are they adding any value? And the argument that we're having this morning is that if you judge them by what are they doing for women,
then
you've missed the point.
It's the same thing that they say you're trying to judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree. That is not what it was put there to do in the first place. Or you're trying to say that this is how that they have been able to, this is what they have achieved, whereby the yardstick that you're using is not what was created in the first place. And I think that's this is a problem, because we're dealing then with a misunderstanding of what the position was in the first place, what it was meant to do. Do I feel that even with those positions that we have seen effectiveness, even as a member of parliament? Unfortunately, no. We have had women in those positions who have stood out greatly and have gone ahead to do more than, you have gone beyond the call of duty and said, okay, we want to make sure that we are making, which again makes the case for having more women in government. Because you can see, when put in a position like that, she is actually able to perform, which is contrary to a previous belief that women were not voted in because they felt that their roles should have been somewhere else in a more domesticated level. So now you put women in these positions with the attributes of affirmative action, then you are able to see how well they actually can perform even in government, which was the point. But you want to force it to show people that they can actually perform. Because one of the reasons why women were never voted in is because they did not feel they could perform at that level. You have seen that they can, which is one of the reasons why affirmative action works. Because if you left it up to people, they wouldn't make the decision. So you kind of force it so that you can see the impact that they can actually have when they're in that position. Unfortunately, some people have not used the seat in the way in which they should have. Unfortunately.
If you listen to what Peter was saying in Kisii and saying about, he clearly knows the woman rep in Kisii County is Janet Ongera. Janet Ongera was a nominated senator, and he says, when she was in the Senate, I could feel her. When now she's a woman rep, I don't feel her. The yardstick changes. The scale changes. Now we are looking at her in terms of, we know MPs bring development. Now I'm comparing the kind of development that I see my MP doing and the kind of development that I'm seeing this woman representative doing, and I'm wondering, so you are not doing anything. You have no effect. Which is the same argument that actually drove the women reps in the National Assembly to campaign until they got access to that affirmative action fund. Because the MP has the national government CDF, they go to the county, they go to their constituency, they're able to spearhead projects. They're able to, you can see that amelete maendeleo, because that's what we say as Kenyans, that an MP should bring maendeleo, which is physical projects. And then the woman rep does not have any money that can spearhead physical projects. Now they have the affirmative action fund, which still is not as much as the one single constituency MP is getting. And yet you are elected by the entire county. So there's a lot of, judgment and difference that we see there. Let's go back to Nyamira County, and Polycarp is on the line. Good morning, Polycarp.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I hope you're fine.
Okay. So in terms of the effectiveness of the woman rep position, Polycarp.
Yeah.
What is your verdict?
I feel like as a country, we were not ready for this. Sincerely speaking, rather than flip him off the weave and water, I don't see anything my women rep is doing. Firstly, it is not about being a woman. It's about being a leader. You see?
Yep.
So we created a position for them. We allowed them fight in between themselves. And now, whatever...
Oh, we lost Polycarp. Says we were not ready as a country.
For what?
For this particular seat. We're not ready. It's like we're saying we're not ready to have this gender conversation, basically.
Still not. Still not ready to have the gender conversation because for some reason, it's still uncomfortable. To remove from your mind that a woman should not be in that domesticated position, but that she can actually be in a position of government where she can lead, guide, direct, legislate, and transform, right? It just seems as if, no. It sounds archaic. It sounds almost unpalatable to even think it. But that is the mindset of even the modern day man today. That we're not still ready for that conversation. Let's leave women in the mommy position. Let's leave women in the wife, domesticated, cooking position and give her a role every now and then somewhere else, heading the church branch of, that is the mentality. Whether want to accept it or not, still across board, that's the mentality. That's why those who stand out and have actually been in that position of government or leadership, that's why they stand out. Because you must be superhuman. And meanwhile, you must be superhuman to do something. Meanwhile, you're just a woman.
Let's go to Twitter and see what are they saying.
Julia says, women have been taught to think they owe their existence to one man or another. So instead of standing in their space and holding their own, they pledge allegiance to a party leader, a man, basically. So even when they're in that position, you kind of leave what your responsibilities are supposed to be and pledge that to someone else, in this case a man. That's what Julia says. Hussein comes again to say, in fact, many women have suffered because of this seat. They cannot freely contest for a governor, senator, MP, even MCA, because male contestants will be like, there is your own seat, women rep. Why do you want to go for this other thing? You see? I would have to agree with him on that one.
Community basically comes and says,
why are you running for governor? There's a women rep.
There's a position here for women. This is where you belong.
Problem. It's conceptions. It's still a mindset.
I'd like you're going to tell us which women have suffered that. If you look across the country and the number of women who are in parliament and not in the woman rep position, we just talked to Jimmy and he tells us his MP in Malindi is Aisha Jumwa. MP in Likoni is a woman. MP, we have talked about constituencies that are represented by women, Rose Omaua and Alice Ohome. Others, we have seen women who are in the National Assembly. Did the people of Likoni, for example, say, well, with this Kwale County, we have one position for women? Or the people of Kilifi say, no, Aisha Jumwa, we cannot give you the position of Malindi MP because. Why is this? There could be a conversation like that that's happening, but that conversation is drowned out by the majority who look at somebody and they vote for them. When Millie Odhiambo is elected by the people of Suba North, they elect an MP and they know very well that they're also going to elect a woman rep in the county.
Yes, they elect an MP. They know they're electing a woman rep in the county, but the woman rep is not supposed to do anything in terms of legislation. The woman rep is supposed to take care of issues concerning women and gender. I'm telling you, Eric, in their mind's eye, it is not that. It is a legislator who has been voted in. It is a woman who has been voted in to go and champion the rights of women, gender, children, youth, and all these other community projects where it needs a woman to carry a pot and a pestle to figure out. It is not about legislation. It is about the mindset that, okay, we need someone to take care of women's issues. That's what that
Can
person
you
is there
imagine
supposed to
then,
do.
if we actually do not have any other formula that champions the election of women, and then we have a parliament that has 600 members, and many of them have been nominated to those positions. Close to a third have been nominated to occupy those positions. And then that person who's a nominated MP goes back to their, their rural homes or their constituencies, and people just look at her like, you're a flower girl, you're a nominee. The kind of treatment that the 47 elected women MPs get in the society versus the kind of treatment that the nominated women get in the same National Assembly or even in the Senate is different. And I think we just need to continue having that conversation on what exactly do we want? Do we want to elevate? Do we want to ensure that we give women the chance to lead?
Do you really want gender balance and equality? Or fight to it for at least a minimum?
This is a failure of leadership at the same time. Because these conversations, leadership has an opportunity to actually go around and show people the reason why this is important. Anyway, time for us to say goodbye to our audience on KTN Home. Thank you very much. You've been with us since 7 o'clock to now coming to 5 minutes to 9. In the next hour, we bring the conversation to Nairobi County. So, impeachment motion passed by the County Assembly of Nairobi yesterday. We'll be speaking to the majority whip, the MCA Imwa Talk, in the next hour. He'll tell us what they've been doing and what they were doing about this. Let's hear what the next steps are. And also, we'll ask the voters in Nairobi County, do you support the impeachment of Governor Mike Mbuvi-Sonko? Join us on KTN Home from tomorrow, but the conversation continues. Monday. Conversation continues on Spice FM in the next hour.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life. 87.9 Spice FM, Mombasa.
So women have been taught that they, that's going by what Julia was saying. So you see these women groupings there, Inua Mama, which is aligned to Tanga Tanga, and the other one is what? The one for Kieleweke was... that one. We'll remember it.
Team something. I can't remember. But yeah.
So that's the kind of thing that they're talking about. So you will see that even the women who are elected into parliament,
it's like they have this mentality that this is the kind of role they should be fulfilling.
Supporting the man.
Yeah. Pledging some kind of allegiance again to the man, so that you see that the patriarchy still exists and is, if anything, very vibrant. And that's why those that perform, it looks as if they're performing outside of the call of duty, or that they're doing something so special or so spectacular. Meanwhile, they're just doing their job. They're doing what it is that they have been called to do. They're not doing anything spectacular. It's because the majority are not. That's why these ones stand out. So here we are, you've been clamoring an affirmative action year on year, and then you finally have the chance to do so. But that mentality still is that, okay, it's a lowly position.
But I think
just
that
need
is
to
judging
fail
them
and
harshly,
serve.
because we are not looking at all these other... So, yes, you look at Gladys Bosch-Cholet, at Alice Wahome, and they're in the Inua Mama, yes. But then we forget to look at everybody else who is also supporting the deputy president, who's also in Tanga Tanga. All the other male MPs who are in Tanga Tanga, just that they don't call themselves Inua Jamaa.
No. It's just because we're not having that conversation today. But I have a problem with that as well. Instead of you to do your job, you're flanking around somebody. No, if that's a whole conversation for another day.
They're supporting an ideology.
It's a problem that you just force, you hang around people, and that's all we see. That's basically all we see. You are the entourage. You're essentially the individuals
harshly for no reason. We should look at them,
it's because we're not having the conversation today. It's just because we're having the conversation on women. But if you want to bring up those ones who form the political character posse and follow them everywhere that they want to go, I have some words for them as well. Do your job. Your job is not to be following somebody about and to be picking up his robes and carrying his shoes and his briefcase. You have a job to do. But it's just that we're not having that conversation today. It's just that we're talking about the women's position and how it has been filled and how it's being carried out. That one I have a problem with, a big problem.
Yeah,
with
what I'm saying is, and I hear you, but what I'm saying is, then let's not judge this woman just because she's done that. Judge her the same way and say you have a job to do. Not say that, now because of the way you've been elected, you think that you have a certain way you need to support the man. The man also is supporting the man. No. The MPs who are Kina Dende Nyoro and all the others who are supporting the deputy president if you cannot judge and then the Nyoro and saying, you've been elected, but then you went there and you felt that because you are a youthful MP, you need to support the senior person. Don't say the same thing about
judge very well.
The woman.
I can judge very well and say, you know what, you have a job to do. Just do your job. You are here as a women rep as well. You have a job to do. Do your job. Your job is not to be flanking these people every minute and thinking that there's a supposed position that you're supposed to fill. You too, the young man MP who is looking to be groomed and prepared for a future position, you have a job to do. We did not send you there to be groomed. You were voted in to fill a position and do the job. But you're flanking somebody. That's all. We only see you when you're in the presence of the one who you're trying to get aligned with.
We shall revisit this conversation. Good morning. It's now coming up to 9 o'clock. In the next hour, we come to Nairobi County.
Spice up your life. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Traffic good. No problems today. Getting around is a breeze. Hope it remains that day for most of this Friday. It will go down in the books as a very, very good one. There's a little bit of traffic on Mombasa Road, but that seems to be clearing out without much of an issue, unless it does pick up later. And also getting into the CBD today is looking all hunky-dory, guys. If it does change, let us know. Spice FM KE on Twitter or text on 40127.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Oko, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latin, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
2 minutes after 9, this is Kenya's biggest conversation. It's a Situation Room. In the room this morning is Ndu Oko and Eric Latif. So let's look at today's proverb. The same boiling water that softens the potato hardens the egg. That same boiling water that you put the potato in and it goes soft. Put the egg, it hardens. It becomes a hard-boiled egg.
One thing, many uses.
Yes. Same way you came in is the same way you shall go out. Same support you received at some point in 2017 to become the governor of Nairobi is the same support you will lack when they want to get you out. So if you look at the headlines today in the papers, The Nation calls him the paper general. The Standard calls him the king of drama. And they're all referring to a popularly elected governor of the county of Nairobi. Man who received more votes than any other elected officer, any other elected official in the whole republic. And this is Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko. So Mike Mbuvi Kioko Sonko was impeached yesterday by 82 members of the Nairobi County Assembly. How many were in the house? 54 were in the house. And then others logged in. Was it 54 who were in the house?
Wait a minute.
Let's just confirm that quickly. So there were a number of MPs MCAs who were in the house, and then a number who were not in the house, who joined in via video platform. So
58.
The number of MCAs who were physically present in the chamber were 58. And the number of MCAs who ended up voting for the impeachment motion was 88. So some 30 MCAs were not physically in the chamber, but they logged in and they voted. At the same time, we know that for somehow some number of MCAs had found themselves in Kwale yesterday, and these were how many MCAs? 57 MCAs were in Kwale, and they were all together. And Mike Sonko, the governor, was there, and he chose not to log into the system and defend himself against the allegations brought against him. And all of them are saying, some of them are saying, it's being read that I have voted, yes, in the impeachment, and I'm here, and I haven't logged in. Somebody has, hacked into the system and used my name to log in. That's the allegation that they are making. Bottom line is that 88 votes are on record, having voted to impeach the governor. Now the Speaker of the County Assembly of Nairobi has 2 days to notify the Speaker of the Senate of this, and then the Speaker of the Senate shall notify the House, and the House shall form a committee, either a committee of the whole House or a special committee that will sit and review the allegations and also give the governor a hearing and make a recommendation on whether to uphold this impeachment or not. The train has has left the
This
station.
is another train that has left the station.
Yes.
Wow.
It is already moving.
But you know, the thing is, regardless of how it looks like it's moving, the train has left. One of the things that we know will be looked at critically, whether it from the Senate across board, is process. When we looked at previous impeachments that actually took place, some of the things that held the process back was that the process was not followed according to how it should be. According to the law, it wasn't right. So many times it had to be called back for certain things. And I don't doubt that even in this case, process will be followed. The allegations that are coming out, we don't know. There could be some merit, there couldn't be. Of course, they will want to look into, and I don't think that Mike Sonko is going to take this lying down either, where a number of people were complaining, hold on a minute, I'm in point A, but it would look as if I'm voting in point B. How is it that would be the case? So the process definitely would want to be followed, whereby people are saying, if there's this allegation, how then are we going to be able to prove or disprove it? Who would then be in a position to be able to say that I was in the room or I wasn't in the room and my vote was actually counted? So I think that process definitely will be followed as far as this is concerned. People are going to want to know why is it or how is it that this vote took place and the person was actually not there. That's something that somebody is going to hang on, and they're going to say then there is no basis for this impeachment at this point. That is what they're going to say by virtue of the fact that they were not in the room. It's enough. And if they're going to say that that process must be followed, these are one of the things that they're going to harp on. There's controversy. And when there's controversy in something that should be so cut and dry, then you have a problem. You absolutely have a problem. And I would be very interested to know how exactly this happened. And it would be something that at the Senate, they would take into consideration. Okay, guys, what happened here? Is there an explanation as to why these 30 MPs or so who voted in absentia, their names were now collated and counted? Some people are sitting and watching their names.
The thing
voting.
will be for them to prove that they did not log in.
How do you... Yeah, but if
See,
you are
here's
not
the thing.
physically logged in, if you were not in a place where you'd have logged in, how then...
How are you in a place where you don't have logged in? How do we know you were somewhere incapacitated that you could not have logged in? How do we know?
The videos that the governor... because he's still the videos that the governor says he has of people sitting in one place and they're seeing that their names have been voted and counted in.
Yes.
Where did those come from?
From them. It's possible for you to log in on your phone and you're actually voting and you're smiling and going, and you have actually logged in and you have voted. Is that not possible? It is possible. Prove that you actually did not vote. You did not log into the system, that you did not participate in this session.
The process will be followed. I think that's one thing that we can count on, that the process will actually be followed, whether we want to look at it, whichever way we want to look at it or not. The process will be followed. Yeah, it does look from the face of it that there's some foul play that's going on here on whatever side on who would have said they voted, who didn't vote, who was or was not there. It just looks a bit messy at the moment. But at the end of the day, if the technology is showing you that you have 88 names on a list of people who voted for the impeachment of the governor, that is what has taken precedent, and that is what has carried the day. So in that case, yes, this train is moving, but at the same time, these questions will be asked. The questions are going to be asked.
What are the allegations leveled against the governor? Hey, this is gross violation of the Constitution and other laws, abuse of office, and lacking the mental capability to run the county. Lacking the mental capability to run the county.
That one, you would have to get it proven by
also
a medical practitioner.
Gross violation of the Constitution and other laws and abuse of office. So this is what is going to go before the Senate. And we will have now, people who will be coming in and asking themselves, so what exactly happened? Majority Whip in the County Assembly of Nairobi, Peter Emotok, was among those that were in the chamber yesterday. And he's quoted here saying, "We cannot leave a county government of more than 4 million people to go to the dogs. We must rescue it. The governor has no choice but to remain in Kwale, where he currently is." There, where he's in Kwale. Let him stay there. The Nairobi County government shall continue to run. We need a new leadership. Imotok has sat here in this studio with us. because he had also tried another impeachment earlier. And this one had not gone through, had not sailed through. So he joins us now on the line, and this is Minority Whip Peter Imotok. Good morning, sir.
Morning to you.
Good morning.
Karibu sana
Morning,
to the Situation Room. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been.
Now, you guys, are together with your fellow 58 members who were in the chamber yesterday, and others who were not before the court, voted to impeach your governor.
Yes.
You have seen the reaction from the governor himself saying, look, we were here with some of those members who you claim to have voted. How do you respond to that? I mean, how can you explain this, that the 38 other members who were not in the chamber, it's possible that they actually did not log into the system?
Number one, let me respond by saying Parliament has precedents and practices that are being adhered to. There is no Parliament without a mess. There is no Parliament without a speaker. And more importantly, the impeachment motion is pledged on Article 181 of the Constitution, and more so is governed and guided by standing on the platform required of every MCA to vote on. That's the way we voted for the speaker. And the governor knows this. Even in yesterday's Gazette notice, it came from the Gazette notice. It was very clear to the public, it was very clear to himself that the process of voting will primarily be on Zoom. And that is. And by the way, Zoom is not owned by a Kenyan company. Let's understand this thing. It's owned by a foreign company. We don't know who owns it. I'm just using it. So what you're saying, our members, and let me speak on behalf of the moving party. The moving party on this motion is the minority leader of my party, the Orange Democratic Party, with a membership of 51. If you purport you have a membership of 51 physical somewhere of Orange Democratic Party, you are wrong. Because my instructions, my members as a whip, all the 51, that we are going to vote virtually as instructed by the speaker. And the direction of the party was clear out of all our members, that each member is going to vote through Zoom. So taking them to Kwale, wherever, 2 or 3 of them, it does not change the party position on them.
You see, the allegation here, Bwana Imotok, is not that the holding a virtual meeting is anything unprocedural. It is about certain members who are said to have voted virtually, but who swear that they were not logged in.
The issue is, I want you to understand, what's the role of an MPA? Where do an MPA need to explain or to give his views? Is it in Kwale or in the county assembly? Because in law, today, if anything happens to 5 MPs in Kwale without the leave of the speaker, how will them explain? By the way, I don't know the numbers you're speaking. If you look critically,
but you see, I'm not sure what I'm not sure how you're responding to this. If I'm not physically in the house, I can be anywhere as long as I'm logged in.
Exactly. That's exactly what you're saying. Okay. You can be anywhere. Whoever logs for you, whoever has not logged for you, whether you can log in a sea or in an ocean, what you want to see, a particular on my side of the party. My instruction to all my members, because the leader of minority, who is the leader of opposition assembly, was moving the motion. All the members of ODM, to the last person, the instruction was you must log in and vote yes.
So it's possible then, Bwana Imotok, that it's possible that somebody could have logged in for somebody else.
That's not my business. My business is to confirm that and I confirmed yesterday, all my members of ODM party voted. And they called me then from Kwale and told me, wait, as you are brought here for money, and but you entered, I can give an example on a screenshot. Wilson Ochola was in Kwale, but he was logged in. And he voted. Why doctor from Uduru, he voted. Muslims, all of them called me and said, we've done our job. As we are coming here for money. And that's it.
So they actually have confirmed that they voted. They are the ones who logged in and they voted.
All of them, they voted.
But what they're talking when they're speaking to the governor with him in Kwale, they're saying no, this was hacked. So they're basically lying.
Let me ask a question. Look at this. These are members who don't know where Kwale is where. They're in a hill somewhere. In a nutshell, they're under captivity. What do you expect from them?
Wait, are you saying they're not in Kwale?
Go on the line. No, they are. Some of them have called me complaining. I'm the whip of the party. I don't speak for myself. I speak for the party and the wealth of my members. Currently, I'm going to ascertain who was there, who was not there. In fact, one of them arrived yesterday in Nairobi through a bus or something. He got himself pretending he was going to Mosambweni to campaign because he could not understand why was he there.
Oh, come on. So he did not understand why he went to Kuala in the first place
But
with everybody else.
What we are discussing here is not about now the political process. You're now discussing a train which has left the County Assembly of Nairobi, is proceeding to the Senate to determine if failure to, the ball of burden now to prove whether it was illegality, is also got to prove before the court of law if wishes to. But for now, let's wait a process in the Senate, how the Senate will decide on this.
Okay, so let's look at the merits and the substance of this impeachment motion. There were issues that were raised on constitution, violation of the constitution and other laws, abuse of office, lacking the mental capacity to run the county. How many counts were actually presented by the minority leader, Michael Ogada, when he moved this motion?
The motion of impeachment of a governor is premised on Article 181 of the Constitution.
Right.
All those, there are 4 grounds you must attach a particular of impeachment on. That's violation of national laws, violation of the national law, abuse of office, incapacity. They are well stipulated in Article 181. Based on that, it's upon now the Senate to interrogate the particular, that's evidence and witnesses based on that to make a decision. If I present now, in a nutshell, we are saying, for example, when did the daughter of one Mike Sonko become administrator of the county government of Nairobi? Award administrator. She was put in a trip to New York in a voucher purported to be a first lady with a ward administrator who are traveling where? To New York City. At what point did the county government afford to pay a first-class ticket to the wife of a governor and the daughter of a governor? These are things you're saying, abuse of office. It's a direct link to the governor himself. It's a direct benefit to him and the family. When you talk about these things, they are factual things authenticated with best evidence.
So,
when we talk about misuse of office, Public Finance Management Act, we are talking about Dandora Stadium. As we are talking currently, Dandora Stadium has spent millions of money. It has not been, it's now a subject of investigation. Dandora is a riot. The owner of the tangent company, purported company, which was given a contract to build 4 stadiums of 1 billion shillings, is not a known person. It's somebody who are told is a madman in Mombasa town. He cannot authenticate from C12 as a director of that company. These are things you are saying. The Senate now is upon them now to dig deep, to understand are Nairobians MPs through the minority leaders speaking fact that Nairobians need to be saved or not.
Okay.
So these are the issues. They're not just here. They are issues.
We also know that with that process, a certain, we know investigations will be done. Many questions will be asked, and they're going to test the veracity of what it is that you're saying right now. And the hope always is that when such allegations are brought forward, that they're founded in fact, like you've just said now, and that you're going to be asked to prove beyond a shadow of doubt that these things actually exist. Are you at that place where you know that if they're going to ask for the evidence to prove such things, that you're ready to present the same?
The impeachment motion is a quasi process. It's both political and legal. That's why for us to certify the legal process, we must have evidence. And I've said that's what we say in a motion of impeachment at all. Kindly file the grounds and particulars. Particulars are the evidence of the ground.
And you have this. This is what I'm asking.
We have them, my sister. We have them. Cemented, verified.
When it comes to the issue of mental incapacity, how will you be able to prove this, to present this to the Senate?
It's like you describe yourself by saying, describe Imwatok as incompetent leader. How do you describe it? Two ways of describing. Number one, when you say incapacity to lead a county, look at the action. Chapter 6 of the Constitution, integrity says the way you conduct yourself before the public or anywhere as elected leader under the Constitution, it must bring respect and dignity to that office. If you go and abuse people, insult unquotable words, and you are the leader of the county, what kind of mentorship are you giving to our young people? There are things we can authenticate by videos, by clips.
Is there a threshold to this? That's what I'm asking. In fact, in law, when you say that this person then lacks that, is there any threshold? Because I can imagine mental capacity would be that you have actually gone into clinically being declared that you're mentally unfit. When you talk about, the issue of
we are basing our argument not on we are basing our argument not on health. We are basing our argument on integrity.
Okay.
Of chapter 6.
And that's what I'm asking. So what kind of threshold are you required to have? How will you be able to prove this to the Senate hearings that because of the actions or because of this and the other, then we find that the governor lacks that integrity?
You see, I have an example. When the former deputy chief justice at a supermarket in where this is Village Market. How did we get to a level that the tribunal realized that indeed she needs to vacate the office under Chapter 6 of the Constitution as a public officer? Those are the parameters upon which precedent has already been set. The Senate also will demystify ourselves on the fact you are saying that this governor might also does not fit this degree of the law. And these are the facts we are having. And these are the evidence we are having. Based on that, as I was saying, the ball now remains on the Senate to determine what you have said. And I'm happy all the senators, residents of Nairobi, they see what it means to their children, to their daughters, to live with them.
Imotok, the first time that you brought such a motion of impeachment against the governor, it did not see light of day. What happened then, and what is it that has happened now that this particular time it has sailed through?
I remember vividly well that day I was on your studio, and I said this word: I will not, I shall, and I'll never withdraw the motion. Have I kept the word or not?
Well, we can say that you have, but what happened
I have
then?
kept the word. When I said on that day, it may dawn on all Kenyans that what I've spoken today, one day Sonko has to be impeached. Has he been impeached or not by the same county assembly?
Yeah, he has.
He has been impeached. So what I'm saying here is, it's a conviction of many people which was piling up. The issue is just the pilot which changed and gave the more experienced pilot who is the minority leader to land the plane. And the plane
Can we also say
yesterday.
the political times have changed, the political fortunes have changed in that this time, now that the Nairobi Metropolitan is already working and the general body has taken the reins, that it's possible then for the political power barons to sit back and say, okay, now we can let him go. Initially, when you were bringing up your motion, there was no clear alternative on what was going to happen. Is it about the timing as well, politically?
I think impeachment is a political process, accept that. And also in politics is who gets what, where, and how. Primarily, as elected leaders of Nairobi, we want development in our ward. And there's a reality that has sunk into every MCA, that indeed we are left with 2 years. There's nothing to show in our ward. Number two, we can all attest that the metropolitan services so far, within a max of 6 months, you can see the vibrating change of development agenda for the capital city. And more importantly also, by the way, you must also understand this, that the impeachment that I brought gave back to NMS. Because Sonko himself is the one who went ahead. It's on public domain. He said, I went myself and asked the president to take this function, to give me lighter duties. Because the pressure was then, he must go. And out of that, the president willingly and my party leader willingly said, okay, if you have said so, then there is no need for back down. It's a private motion, it's not a party motion. It's a private motion. Back down. And the members back down. But he took me to court the following day. And I've been caught throughout. But the procedures of Parliament, understanding order number 48 is very clear. Any special motion with timeline, if it's not moved, whether there's a court process or not, it dies automatically. But I never opened my mouth to withdraw it because I kept my word, Nairobian.
So with the NMS now in place, and it's being run, like you say, it's being run very well by the general and the officers. If this impeachment motion, if this impeachment is approved by the Senate, we would then have to have a by-election in the county of Nairobi.
Definitely.
Would that be necessary? What's the point?
Perfectly necessary.
What's the point of going to an election to elect another governor for about a year, and yet general body is doing the work?
But you see, we are also bound by constitutionality. When the Constitution says that within 60 days, IBC should arrange for election, unless we go to a referendum before that time to change that Constitution write-up, then we are bound by it. And also, more importantly, we say in politics that at any given time, we must also be prepared sometimes to bite the pain of democracy. And the pain of democracy for Nairobians, with all due respect, I would say, is upon us to accept 1 or 2 billion to go for election to save more than 70 billion to go development.
I see.
Okay.
Time for us to take a break. Thank you very much for speaking to us, Imwatok. The Honorable Peter Anyule Imwatok is the leader of the minority whip in the County Assembly of Nairobi. He was very, very instrumental in pushing through this impeachment of Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko yesterday. So let's see what happens from this point on. 2 days for the Speaker to take this to bring it to the attention of the Speaker of the Senate. And then from there, it's upon the Senate then to make a decision.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Peter.
26 minutes after 9 o'clock. So we are asking this question on Twitter. Do you support the impeachment of Mike Mbuvi Sonko as Governor of Nairobi? Do you support the impeachment of Mike Mbuvi Sonko as Governor of Nairobi? We are running a poll. We are running a poll on Twitter. Please participate. We will be giving you the results of what people are saying in the end of the show. Plus also we'll take your calls for the next half an hour. Good morning. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. It's the Situation Room.
"24/7 around the world, non-stop. This is Spice FM. Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM.
Okay, so we're looking at partly cloudy conditions in Nairobi at 19, highs of 24 today and lows of 16. The highs will be 24 in Nakuru, coming down to lows of 14 with mostly sunny conditions throughout the day. It's also sunny in Nyeri, highs of 23 and lows of 13. The low will be 11 in Eldoret and partly sunny throughout today. Light rain in Kisumu at the moment, going to highs of 27 and lows of 20. 22 in Kakamega at the moment, mostly cloudy conditions, however, with highs of 26 and lows of 14. 28 and rain continues in Mombasa, going to highs of 30 and lows of 25. Mostly cloudy in Malindi at 23. Highs will be 25 and lows of 16. It's raining in Kampala at 21, highs of 25 and lows of 18. Also, the light rain continues in Dar es Salaam, going to highs of 30 and lows of 26. 18 degrees and partly sunny in Johannesburg, highs of 24 and lows of 13. Rain showers continue in Lagos at 26 at the moment, highs of 32 and lows of 25. It's mostly sunny in Kinshasa at 22, going to highs of 32 and lows of 22. It's sunny in Beijing, however, it's cold. At 3, we'll see highs of 4 and lows of -4. 5 degrees in Paris and mostly sunny with highs of 8 and lows of 3. And the rain showers continue in this chilly London at 4 degrees. That'll be the low for today, going then to highs of only 6. 9 degrees and cloudy conditions in New York, highs of 9 and lows of 5.
Welcome to Spice FM, the best exclusive radio station bringing you the best mix of the best music ever. Traffic.
Is there? Not really. Traffic has been very good today. Not much coming off the major highways of Mombasa Road and Thika Road. The eastern and southern bypasses, if you want a Friday morning ride, there's where you would go. But there is no traffic whatsoever today. We know that there are some hot spots. It will slow down in some areas, but we don't have the bumper-to-bumper action that we normally do. Okay? So it's looking good this Friday, guys. We might pick up later on during the day, but for now, we don't have a problem. Spice FM KE through the day. That's how you can get in touch or text on 40127.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
9:30.
94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
We're having the Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko conversation. On Twitter, we are running a poll. Do you support the impeachment of Nairobi Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko? Yes or no? Do you support the impeachment of Nairobi Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko? Has happened by 88 votes in the County Assembly of Nairobi yesterday. However, at the same time as this was happening, only 58 MCAs were in the house, in the chamber. The others logged in virtually. Now, some of those who are said to have logged in virtually are already complaining, and they're saying, you know what, us guys were in Kwale, and we've been in Kwale, and in fact, Governor Mike Mbuvi has even taken pictures of them holding, each one of them holding a number from number 1 to number 57, saying, here we are in Kwale. We have not participated in this particular vote. We've heard from the minority leader, Peter Emotok, and what he has said. Now, let's give the right of reply to the governor's office. And the director of communications in Mike Mbuvi Sonko's office, Elkanah Jacob, is joining us on the line. Good morning, Elkanah.
Morning, Gladys. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Thank you very much for joining us and speaking to the Situation Room.
Yes.
Allegation number 1 that the governor is saying is that, wait, I was here physically with members of the county assembly who were not online, and yet it appears that they voted. Explain that to us.
Actually, that is the truth, right, Latif? We are in Kwale with all the 59 MCAs from Nairobi. Surprisingly, yesterday when they started the virtual Zoom meeting, one of the MCA logged in to just follow up what is happening. We were very much shocked that the 19 MCAs were logged into the system while we are seated with them. This was a great theft. Actually, what happened yesterday, it shocked everyone.
So how do you explain that?
Now,
how is it that they were logged in and they're claiming that they were not logged in?
That's what now we want the cybercrime detective to assist us with. We launched the complaint to Kwale Police Station under OB number 55/3/12/2020, which was complained by Honorable Millicent Okach to the rest of the MCAs.
Elkanah, is there only one platform through which you must be logged in to the system? Is there another way that you can log in via your phone, anything? Can you log in any way? So it doesn't mean that I have to be in one place, logged in from one place in order for me to vote, for example.
Yeah, you can log in from any place.
You can log in from anywhere.
Yes.
In
now,
fact,
what happened
one of the MCAs who was there with you logged in.
Yes. To just follow what was happening.
Is it possible that the other MCAs also logged in?
And voted?
Not
I
possible,
assume it's something
not
that would take
possible.
less than a minute to do.
Actually, Latif, their phones were completely off. All the rest of the MCAs, their phones were completely off. And what we have come to notice is that there were some people at the ICT sector within the assembly who logged in using their email addresses and the passwords.
How did they get an email address and a password of a very respected member of the county assembly?
That's what we wonder.
Is there a possibility that there was connivance between the MCA and the person who was actually logged in, such that, all right, I'm here with Elkanah and the governor, but here are the credentials. You log in and you vote.
You know, Latif, what happens? I am a techno-savvy, I myself. We want the assembly to provide us with the pictures. You know, when you log into the system, actually, I had a Zoom meeting today morning. Before you log into the system, there is a screen which comes. You are captured. Your face is captured. You log in with the correct credentials, including ID number, your email address, password, and ID number. Then after you have completed the Zoom meeting, the same exercise happens. Now we want the assembly clerk, the assembly committee members, the assembly IT experts to provide us with those credentials, the images and the ID numbers of those MCAs, because we screenshot the honorable members who were illegally logged into the system, and we have very credible evidence to this.
So what were the MCAs? What are 59 MCAs doing in Kwale?
We were threatened from Nairobi, my friend. We were tear gassed the other day. So for us to move to a safer place, we moved to Kwale.
What are you doing
So
there? Are you conducting county business? Are you on holiday? What is happening?
No. We just went to Kwale to check how these MCAs will steal the votes at the assembly. And that's actually what happened yesterday.
So you went,
Because
if I can
we have
understand
100
what you're saying, if I can just interrupt here. If I can understand what you're saying, the whole number of you left Nairobi, went to Kwale to sit and investigate or look into what you thought would be a stealing of the vote towards the impeachment that happened yesterday. So you were all investigating this at the same time?
Yes, because we knew this could happen, and it happened. That's why in the morning, before we started the Zoom meeting, we got an intelligence report that these people, this is what they're trying to do.
Okay.
And our honorable member, led by Honorable Bishop, actually went to Kwale police station and recorded another statement that we have intelligence that these people, they will hack into their email accounts and log us in. And actually at exactly 2:30 p.m. when the impeachment motion started, that's what happened. Now our question is, if we have 212 MCAs, 6 MCAs were in Kwale, how do they get the 88 votes? That's it.
So I just want to understand something. We're speaking, anybody else who's joining in online right now, we're speaking with Elkanah Jacob. He is the communications director in the office of Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko of Nairobi. So 59 MCAs are in Kwale. Elkanah, you're saying that you're there because you wanted to make sure that, first of all, you are able to see how those that are championing the impeachment of the governor are going to be able to pull it off. Why did you just, if all 59 MCAs were very clear that they were not going to vote for impeachment, why not just log in and vote no?
Latif, as I said earlier, I am a techno-savvy. Once you log into the system, those people can do anything. Already the number could have increased from 80, then we could be having 300 because that is their theory. So we denied from the word go that we are not going to log in and we are not going to participate because we already have the numbers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why did the governor decide not to participate in that? He had an opportunity to log in and give his side of the story and then, let it go on record that all the allegations that have been brought against you, this is your response to those allegations. Why did the governor choose not to do this?
We are in a democratic country, my brother Latif. We have a court order in place. And His Excellency, if he could have participated into that exercise, then what could be our motive going to court? We have a court order which was in place.
What does that court order say, just for those who may not have followed through with that story?
That the impeachment motion at the assembly was illegal.
Okay.
Those MCAs who went to court did not follow due process.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you going to participate in the Senate hearings?
We have a battery of senior counsel led by Harrison Kinyanjui. Actually, we have moved to court to oversee that.
Okay.
And we have also written to various multi-agency operatives, including cybercrime detectives, to tell us what happened yesterday, because we have evidence, and we are going to shock them.
So in the event that it turns out that they tell you that the names that they found which actually voted yes correspond to the individuals who bear those names and that they actually are the ones who logged in at whatever time, then what happens next?
Nothing like that, I can assure you. I'm a techno-savvy. Let them show us that these people signed at this time and they logged out at this time, using which kind of
device?
Gadget? Was it iPhone 11 Pro Max? Was it iPad? Was it a laptop? Yes.
So with that, then you'll be able to tell.
We have placards. We have placards from.
What I'm hearing you saying, Elkanah, is that even if a certain MCA wanted to play it dirty and decides, yes, I'm going to come to Kwale, this is a free trip, it's fully paid for by the governor, but at the same time, I'm going to have one of my lackeys, one of my assistants log into
Not
the
full
system.
paid for, not full paid for. These people, they're lawyers. Actually, what happened at when we were tear guests, they got irritated. Why are we being tear guests? We have the numbers. Then the MCs agreed that no, let's move from Nairobi. Let's go to a safer place where we can freely demonstrate our views. That's why they moved to Kwale. And no one knew this. Actually, they were shocked yesterday.
So who's sponsoring the trip?
From their pockets.
Everybody's paying from their pocket?
Yes.
Okay, so back to my question. Everybody has paid for their pocket. They have decided to go to Kwale. Is it possible that somebody could then decide, let me give my PA my credentials, they can log in and they can vote? Is there a possibility of anything like that happening?
Latif, before we traveled from Nairobi to Kwale, each member's phone was off, completely off. Until yesterday at 5:30 is when their phones were on. There is no way those people could give passwords to their PAs, their wives, to their girlfriends, and etc.
Did you confiscate their phones?
We did not, but they switched off their phones. Yes.
So we're talking about you being in the company of how many MCAs?
59 MCAs.
59.
Yes.
And you were able to ascertain that each and every one of them had switched off their phones. Nobody had any outside communication. That's one. Number two, you also said that of their own volition, they said, you know what? Things are not going really well here in Nairobi. Let's all go to Kwale. We're going to pay for ourselves. Let's sit down and see what we are going to do in terms of a move when we know from this outside information, this intelligence, that they're planning something and they're going to hack. So they knew going to Kwale that they were going to hack into their emails and vote on their behalf, but you decided to sit and wait for it to happen so that you could then make a move. Am I understanding?
Yes.
Okay.
Why do that? Why not do anything else to forestall that move?
Because that's what we knew it could happen. Those people, they don't have numbers. They faked whatever happened yesterday. Actually, they should be ashamed to themselves.
Okay.
Why lie to millions of Kenyans? Why lie to millions of Nairobians? Yet the truth is known. Lucky. If we have 59 members of Nairobi City County MCAs, where did they get those other numbers? We have MCAs carrying placard 1 until placard number 59. I can even share with you those images on our WhatsApp. Yes. These
Actually,
are great lines.
you've shared them on Mike Sonko's Twitter handle. We can see
exactly,
and social media platforms. So each one of them holding the placard, which has a number from number 1, showing their face and the number that they're holding and the position they hold, whether they're nominated or if they're elected, whatever ward they represent. So we can see this on the social media platforms. The question that I want to come back to is, so what next now for Governor Sonko? What are the next steps that you're going to take?
Actually, we have a battery of senior counsel led by Harrison Nyeri. We are in court now, and after an hour or 2 hours from now, something will be happening. We have a long way to go. They have a long way to go.
Okay.
Impeaching an elected governor is not a joke. It's not a walk in the park.
Asante sana.
Okay.
Elkanah Jacob is the Director of Communications in Governor Mike Sonko's office. Thank you very much, Elkanah, for joining us.
Thank you, Ndugu.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day.
You too.
We're still having that poll, running the poll on Twitter. Do you support the impeachment of Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko? Do you support the impeachment of Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko? That's the poll that we're running on Twitter. Ndu, let's go there and find out what are people saying.
All right. Okay, so let's see what it is. Governor Mike Sonko should have been impeached like yesterday. He has by all means undermined the NMS and every effort the president is making to revive Nairobi. And that's from Francis Odipo. And Kush Juma says, you know what? It has actually taken long. Peter Ngongi says, it is a society that eats its own and Sonko must be left without flaws. Stripping him off is a sign now that Nairobi we left on NMS, and we have seen the balance and how that game is being played. Don Kim says Sonko impeachment is long overdue. Looking at some other comments that we are seeing is that no need, according to James Williams. We're nearing the general election anyway. He will still win because this is Kenya. Peter Ongera says, well, then he should vie for governorship in Kwale. Anthony Kamau says, do we have to wait for impeachment to challenge a governor's integrity? With all the ground laid for impeachment, why has no one, not even the DPP, gone to court to sue him for impropriety, sabotage, and abuse of office? I think governors are above the law as long as they are in office.
There's a case against Governor Sonko.
Yeah, he is. Fidel Mwamba says, yes, he should have been impeached a long time ago. I don't know why it has taken this long. Laban Mwangi says, yes, like yesterday. In fact, it's coming in too late.
Continue participating in that poll that we're running. Do you support the impeachment of Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko? Yes or no on Twitter. Let's go back to the phone lines. Fred in Nairobi, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today, Fred?
I'm fine, thank you.
Do you support the impeachment of Governor Sonko?
Yes, I do. First and foremost, Nairobi is actually it's the heart of Kenya. You say it's basically where the brain is. It's where the heart is. It's where everything going around the country starts off from. In as much as yes, Mombasa is like the mouth or just where things are coming in through the sea. However, Nairobi is one that controls basically the runnings of what's going on in the country. It's the government seat. That's where the seat is. Now, in terms of Sonko himself, yes, I agree with what people are saying. It's way overdue. We needed to have things working and running very fast.
Okay.
And in terms of how it's easy or how easy it is to actually know who voted, it's very simple. Every mobile device has an IP address, or wherever that you log in, wherever that you're logging in from, you leave a footprint or you leave a digital print. So it is easy to know who logged in or where it was logged in, what time that was done. So there's no way you can say we never voted or we voted. It's very easy. That one we leave it for the cybercrime division to actually check on it.
Okay. Thank you very much, Fred.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Baba Waidera, good morning.
Oh, hi, you guys.
How are you, Zachary?
Hi, Zachary.
I'm fine. Thank you, guys. And yesterday I spent the whole day worried. Where is our friend Eric?
You spent the whole day worried.
And now I'm going to be worried that Mwalimu is not there. Mwalimu Andrew.
Mwalimu Andrew will be back on Monday.
Okay. I'm happy, and you guys will do good work. Now, let me say this one thing, yeah? And I have already said it, that our leaders is a reflection, or they are a true reflection of ourselves, yeah? Somebody jokingly said that the idea of the reality of Mr. Sonko being elected as the governor of Nairobi should be taught along the Greek mythology. I don't know, something like that, yeah?
Why? Sure.
And I concur with him.
800,000
people in Nairobi
voted.
Yeah, this is the thing, yeah? One thing Mr. Sonko brought a lot of votes to the Jubilee government, isn't it?
Yes.
And then later, he was found to be incapable of doing the whole work of making Nairobi the way it should be. Yeah? Then our president brought in the NMS, the military and the whatever is it. May I tell these guys, please leave Mr. Sonko alone. Let him be.
Okay.
Actually, we have taken a lot from him. The only thing he has said, somebody also jokingly said, is that we have only left him with the police uniform, the official regalia, Let that guy be, actually. Let him be. That is my take. Leave Mr. Sonko alone. He's also a court jester of ours, and we are happy when we see him. You know,
so,
making
let him just stay.
Let him stay. Let Mr. Sonko stay.
Okay.
Thank you, Zachary.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Asante, you too. Jimmy.
Yes, please.
Do you support the impeachment of the governor of Nairobi?
For me, I don't support the impeachment of the governor of Nairobi. I don't support it because I know how Nairobi has been. Look, Nairobi is not like Kilifi County. This is the most busiest county of all in the whole of this Kenya. So this guy has got a lot of things to do.
Kilifi is the busiest.
So he may not do. Sorry?
Oh, you said, Nairobi is the busiest.
It's the busiest county of all the 47 counties. Counties, sorry. So now, he may not do 100 or 90%. But at least if he does 51%, he has done 90% Kilifi. If the governor of Kilifi does 90%, it's equivalent to the governor of Nairobi doing 51%. So for me, Sonko has done 80%. There's a very big credibility we can give to Sonko, especially when we talk about the youth. People always think that the youth, the ones who are vulnerable, are the ones who have gone to the universities, they don't have a job. Are the ones who have gone to the secondary schools, they don't have a job. The real youth who is the most affected is the one whose parents didn't have any money to take to school. The one who did not have even food. The one who has been languishing in poverty. So Sonko, we have seen him, he has been fighting a lot for especially this kind of people. And let me tell you, the fact remains is that they may do everything they want to do to Sonko, but Sonko will always be remembered for the good things he did to even the women of all tribes. And look, the second most voted person in Kenya was Mike Sonko after the president. After the president was Raila, then was Sonko. So he was the third. This guy has done a lot. And one thing, if we are bored with him in Nairobi, we welcome him in Kilifi County to come and do. And to become the governor in Kilifi County, we welcome him. Let me tell you, this impeachment, it's all about dynasty. And that is the fact. Whenever someone is rising, you have to remain down.
So you're clipping
because,
in the wings.
Look, why is it that these upcoming politicians are the ones who are the most affected by this impeachment? Because people have to remain down. So it's the high time the Kenyan comes and realizes that it is their obligation to make sure once a good leader will always remain a good leader.
Thank you. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you very much. 0719-012-600. Time for one final call of the week. Do you support the impeachment of Nairobi Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko? Do you support the impeachment of the Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko? We're also running a poll on Twitter asking the same yes or no. Please participate in that poll. Amadioto will tell us how we're faring so far on the poll, and then we'll also be sampling that and reading. So hear what Jimmy is saying. Jimmy is saying this man has really performed. He has done well. He has served the people who elected him. 800,000 of them. It's not
satisfied.
And he wasn't just new. He didn't come out of nowhere. He had a track record as an MP. He had a track record as a senator. And when they gave him that mandate to be their governor, you should maybe go and ask the people. Maybe that's what we're basically just doing here. So impeach and go back and ask the people for fresh mandate. Do you think if we went back to the poll today and Governor Sonko participated in that election, Governor Sonko would get elected again?
Come back into the position of governor? It's hard to say. It's hard to say because it's hard to say because look, that's the whole irony of this thing, that there seems to be a box in which you can fit a particular a leader, governor, should look this way, should act this way, should perform in a certain way. And they don't. However, you still had almost 1 million people voting him in. And he was like that before. It's not as if he suddenly morphed into the person that he is now.
That time he didn't have executive power. That time he was busy rolling on the floor, complaining and blaming Governor Kidero for not doing things. This time he has no one to blame. Well, he's been blaming Buddy this and Saddam.
But Buddy's been getting things done, if you want to be honest. But he's been getting things done.
Even Sonko has gotten some things done.
Such as?
That stadium. Motok is talking about. So, yeah. Who was used to build a stadium? But is there a stadium in Dandora or not?
Is there a stadium?
Yes. There is a stadium in Dandora. Yeah. He has managed all this by himself without any assistance of a deputy.
Okay, very good.
Deputy abandoned him.
So Nairobi, the capital city of the anchor country in East Africa, the governor of this county has built a stadium.
Yeah, the NMS director has done what? Done pavement.
Has put water in the taps in areas where there has been no water for 15 years.
Is that water still running, by the way? You know that one time the people of South B said that they have seen water. Is it still flowing?
We should call and ask them, is there water in your taps in South B and South C?
Yeah.
Starting to build roads.
So the one that you brought, the general, has put colored pavement knees on the road and
he's
pavement parts of Nairobi.
Building hospitals in Nairobi. Building. I didn't say has built.
Where are they?
Has started the project. Hospitals that they were looking for umpteen years has not been done. Come on.
What did Sonko do to Pumwani Maternity Hospital?
Yeah, he
with
cleaned
his
it up.
own money.
Cleaned it with his own money. That was him as an individual.
Yeah.
Also, in the governorship, in the governorship, what did they do?
And I did not say he was cleaning his own money. I was saying he cleaned
foot, mouth. Foot, mouth. Eric.
Okay. What was today's proverb?
Something about potatoes and hot water.
So this one is still running. The poll is still running. Ambulioto has not given us the results. He'll give us shortly. But today's proverb from CT Muga: the same boiling water that softens the potato hardens the egg. The same 800,000 people that soften the potato
hardening the egg
are hardening the egg. Lesson to the people of Nairobi, the same as well. You could be the potato or the egg, depending on what side of the divide you are. How did you vote in 2017? Right? So the poll on our social media platforms, Spice FM KE on Twitter. Do you support the impeachment of the governor? And we're seeing overwhelmingly many of the people who are voting so far are indicating that, yes, they do support that impeachment. We thank you very much for participating. Keep the poll. Poll runs for 24 hours, so let's see how it will fare. We'll look at that on Monday. On Monday, we'll be speaking about health in the country. If doctors, clinical officers, and nurses actually down their tools on Monday, my friend, that's the conversation we'll be having on Monday. Say goodbye.
Goodbye. Have a fantastic weekend, guys. Take care of yourselves and each other.
Okay. Keep it right here. You'll have Monique coming to take you home in the afternoon, and then the adults in the room will be here in the evening. You'll have lovely music throughout the weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Have a lovely weekend. Take care of each other and yourselves.
That's what I said.
And everybody else.
Yeah.
Remember, COVID-19 is still chopping laps in the country, and we've got to really be serious about this. Good morning. It's now 10 o'clock. Have a fantastic time.